Chapter 532. Do you think I don't dare? Then give it a try. Jiang Tian's eyes suddenly turned cold as he sneered. Just then, a clear voice was heard. Who dares to cause trouble in the Han family? Don't you know that the Han family is a friend of the Lin family? Lin Tianlan is here. The guests in the courtyard and the Han family members in the hall were shocked. They all looked at the door. Everyone raised their heads and saw a young man with a body as straight as a sword and a strong aura walk in quickly, accompanied by Han Junkai. This looks like Lin Tianlan. Why is he here? Someone who knew him exclaimed. The crown prince of the Lin family. Lin Fengmian's biological son, a martial arts family that has stood for 200 years from the end of the Qing dynasty to the northern warlords to the new regime. More people lowered their heads in awe and bowed deeply, not daring to look him in the eyes. Unlike the Han family, the Lin family was a real martial arts family. 100 years ago, the Lin family's great-grandfather was Duan Qirui's guest of honor. They dominated Yanjin and Huaxia. Later, they surrendered, but their power was still strong. It was said that the Lin family's power had infiltrated many countries in Africa. The heads of their companies were all warlords and guests of the governments. Moreover, the Han family was very influential in the martial arts world. They were on good terms with the Bai family and other martial arts families, as well as many hidden sections. This kind of century-old aristocratic family had a few peerless masters at the master level. They had not fallen even after hundreds of years of ups and downs. Their strength was not something the Han family could compare with. Tianlan, you're here. Han Daod was overjoyed to see Lin Tianlan. Jiang Tian's might was something that even he, the leader of the Han family financial group, couldn't handle. The key was that he was wary of the power behind Jiang Tian. However, it was different with the Han family and the Lin family's help. This was a martial arts family. Few people could make the Lin family bow to them in Huaxia. Even if Kang Taichu was the arbiter, he still had to show some respect to the Lin family. After all, back then, the Bai family was so powerful that they had to rely heavily on the support of the Lin family. On the other hand, Jiang Tian had just grown up and his foundation was not stable. He needed the support of a martial arts family like the Lin family. Uncle Han, Junkai called me and said that someone was causing trouble in the Lin family, so I rushed over. Lin Tianlan cupped his fists and said. Good, good, good. Tianlan, you came at the right time. Even Han Badian was overjoyed. As the only heir of the Lin family, Lin Tianlan's presence was equivalent to Lin Fengmian's presence. Although Lin Tianlan couldn't challenge Kang Taichu, he could at least mediate. Young Master Lin, this is the Jinling thief who injured me. What's his name? His name, Han Junkai limped forward and fiercely pointed at Jiang Tian. Suddenly, he felt pain in his leg. He guessed that his leg was fractured. He grimaced in pain and took a deep breath. Lin Tianlan was hot-tempered and had just come out of seclusion. He wanted to meet a few masters to stretch his muscles. Before he could finish, he flew into a rage and made a grabbing motion with his right hand. At the side, the sword in the hands of the exceptionally beautiful maid moved by itself even though there was no wind. It drew a streak of resplendent light as it jumped into her hands. He stood proudly with the sword in his hand and pointed at Jiang Tian. Humph, you are quite something. With the sword in his hand, his temperament suddenly changed. He was like a peerless swordsman. The sword chi soared into the sky and shone down on the room. Everyone was chilled. The people around him retreated 20 or 30 meters before they felt better. Transcendent state. A transcendent master. Many people cried out in surprise. Their faces were filled with admiration and fear. Then, Han Junkai felt the pain in his leg subsided. He said, his name is Jiang Tian, the prince of the Medicine King group. Damn you. For a moment, Lin Tianlan wanted to cry. The prince of the Medicine King group was Kang Taichu. Why didn't you say so earlier? Even my dad didn't dare to provoke him. In a moment of desperation, he flopped onto the ground. He knelt on the ground, trembling as he said, "Grand Master Jiang. Young Master Lin, why are you kneeling down? Aren't you going to kill me with the sword?" Jiang Tian sipped his tea and asked curiously. "A sword for a hero." Lin Tianlan held the sword with both hands, raised it over his head, and handed it over respectfully. Tianlan has long heard of Grandmaster Zhang's powerful cultivation and brilliant battle record. You once defeated the 28th Japanese Mixed Army and Air Force Regiment by yourself. I admire you very much. At that time, I was in seclusion. I only wished that I could follow Grandmaster Jiang to the battlefield and show the prestige of our country. This sword is a gift from me to Grandmaster Jiang. Ha! Zhang Yilin burst out laughing. When Lin Tianlan came here, he was arrogant and domineering. Who would have thought that he would kneel down so quickly after knowing his brother's identity? Who knew how he came up with this line? He was quite quick-witted. Get up. If it weren't for Lin Fengmian, I would have killed you. Jiang Tian smiled coldly. Lin Tianlan stood up and bowed deeply again. Master Kong, the Han family has been cooperating with the Lin family for many years. Strictly speaking, they are your forces. Please let the Han family go for my father's sake. Han Junkai dared to drug my cousin with ill intentions. He even pointed a gun at me just now. Do you think I should let him go? Jiang Tian said lightly. Hearing this, Lin Tianlan felt cold all over. His scalp was numb, and his heart almost exploded. Who was Kang Taechu? He was the most powerful man in Huaxia. On Mount Fuji, he killed the first source of Dongyang's Sword God Palace. On Mount Fuji, he broke through the 28th Army and Air Force Brigade. On Mount Xianglu, he killed 11 gods with one sword. The Bai family, which had a glorious history of hundreds of years, was destroyed by him just because he kidnapped one of his college classmates. His family property was taken away and his name was removed from Huaxia. The name of the adjudicator of martial arts was supreme. He dominated Huaxia and had the power to kill and seize. Who dared to offend him? Not to mention the Han family in the secular world, even the Lin family. 10 Lin families would not be enough to defeat Jiang Tian. The more he thought about it, the more scared he became. He almost fell to the ground and kicked Han Juansai's butt. Bastard! Kneel down and apologize to Miss Zhang and Master Kang. How dare you offend Master Kang's cousin? Do you want to die? Lin Tianlan meant well, but Han Junkai could not accept it. As the youngest son of Han Daod, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. From childhood to adulthood, he had a smooth life. He was arrogant, domineering, and committed all kinds of crimes, but no one dared to provoke him. At his level, it was no problem to kill a few ordinary people. Even Zhang Yilin was not worth mentioning in his eyes. In his opinion, kneeling down to Jiang Tian and Zhang Yilin was worse than killing him. Not only did he not kneel, but he also shouted loudly. Why? What's so great about Kang Taechu? He is in the martial arts world, and we are in the secular world. We don't interfere with each other's business. What can he do to me? Is there no law to restrain him? Since he had already said so much, he had completely shed all pretense of cordiality. He looked at Jiang Tian and said, I did harass your younger sister, but you also beat me up before. Let's go 50-50. Today's matter is over. What do you think? If you continue to be aggressive, I will find a way to deal with the Jiang family. In his opinion, these words were reasonable and well-founded. Jiang Tian was very powerful, but he was also bound by the martial arts convention. He could not casually kill people, especially people from the secular world. Moreover, the Han family was a genuine political and business family. They had been in Huaxia for decades, and it was not an exaggeration to say that they could cover the sky with one hand. Under the Han family, there were many leaders of ministries and departments, and the chief of Su province had to visit his father every year. In this day and age, how many businessmen were clean? If they investigated seriously, how could they not find the problem? Not to mention the Lin family, the Han family alone was enough to deal with the Jiang family. It was as easy as killing a chicken with a butcher's knife. It could be said that if the Han family wanted to destroy the Jiang family, it would not take more than a few words. This would also make Jiang Tian afraid. Shut up, Junkai. When Han Badian heard that, his heart almost jumped out of his chest. Lin Tianlan, on the other hand, was shocked. He closed his eyes sadly. He knew that if Han Junkai dared to offend the adjudicator's authority, he would not be able to keep his life. It was even a question whether the Han family could be saved. Deal with the Jiang family? Well, I've given you so many chances, and you're still so presumptuous. Well then, go to hell. Jiang Tian looked at him with a half-smile, his eyes indifferent. You're funny. You really dare to kill me. Han Juansai's face was full of sarcasm, and he thought that Jiang Tian was just shooting his mouth off. In his opinion, he was the son of an official, and this was an important place in the capital where the rich and powerful ruled. It was impossible for Jiang Tian to kill him. Well, these are your last words. Jiang Tian smiled coldly, stood up, and walked out lazily. What's wrong? Scared? Running away? Didn't you want to kill me? Kill me. Han Juansai's face was full of sarcasm, but the smile suddenly froze on his face, and he could not laugh anymore. His entire body stood there like a clay sculpture, not moving at all. Junkai, what's wrong with you? Han Daod noticed that something was wrong and rushed over, holding Han Juansai's shoulder and shaking him. Mr. Han, my condolences. Junkai is already dead. Lin Tianlan sighed from the side. How did he do it? Han Badian trembled, not knowing whether it was out of fear or anger. He noticed that Han Juansai's pupils were dilated, and he could not be more dead. However, he did not see Jiang Tian make a move. Even an immortal state martial artist would have to use true qi, and even a spell master would have to make a hand seal or chant a spell. To a deity realm powerhouse like Grandmaster Jiang, who is like a true god, killing people invisibly and from a distance of 100 miles, there are more than hundreds and thousands of methods to take people's lives. Lin Tianlan's body trembled slightly, but his eyes were full of respect. During the battle on Xianglu Peak, he happened to be in seclusion and did not see it. Today, he saw the power of an immortal state warrior. This is the power of an immortal state warrior. Zhang Shisan laughed and waved his hands. The real truth comes out of the mouth, and the law follows the words. Life and death are in the hands of the heart, and the spiritual force can swallow and destroy the divine soul of others. Powerful. Too powerful. Chapter 533. At the same time, Han Daod also discovered Han Juansai's death. His face turned pale and he froze on the spot. The others also felt a chill run down their spines. Han Junkai was dead. Han Daod's son, Han Junkai, was dead. Han Junkai, the man who was unscathed after killing someone in a car crash in the Second Ring Road, who was a tyrant in Beijing and nobody dared to provoke him, had died just like that. Furthermore, just as Jiang Tian said that he was going to kill him, he suddenly died without any warning. Could it be that he really killed him? Almost everyone recalled the terrible rumors that Kang Taichu destroyed the Bai family, killed 12 gods with one sword, and destroyed half of the Mount of Incense. In these rumors, the martial arts adjudicator could fly, summon the wind and rain, control thunder and lightning, and was a horrible person who could kill people without saying a word. They didn't believe it before. But now, everyone believed it. Otherwise, there was no way to explain Han Juansai's sudden death. When Jiang Tian walked out, everyone parted like a tide and automatically made a path for him. All of them went silent like cicadas in winter and didn't dare breathe loudly. They lowered their noble heads and looked down, and they didn't even dare look Jiang Tian in the eye. It was not terrible to have power and influence, but it was terrible to be able to take people's lives at will. So what if your family is rich and powerful? So what if your family is rich and powerful? I have your lives in my hands. This was the ferocity and unparalleled majesty of the adjudicator. Just like the ancient emperors and gods, he could kill people and wipe out families easily. He could rule the world and kill people at will. After Jiang Tian left for half a minute, Lin Tianlan sighed and said in a trembling voice, "A grandmaster can't be humiliated, an immortal state warrior is like a god, and an adjudicator can't be humiliated. Those who humiliate him will have no place to die." The adjudicator's majesty couldn't be humiliated by these ants. The Bai family was like that, and so was Han Junkai. Everyone was silent and no one dared to say a word. To Jiang Tian, whether it was Han Junkai or the entire Han family, they were all ants that he could easily crush. Putting everything else aside, Jiang Tian only needed to say a single word, and the political forces under the 6 great clans would take action together, and they would be able to tear the Han clan into pieces. The Han clan did have Han Daod, but the political agents of the 6 great clans were not few in number either. Even if Jiang Tian didn't use the 6 dominant families, the central government would still give the Han family a warning if he talked to Special Envoy Shen directly. Needless to say, Jiang Tian also had many friendly forces, such as the Chao Shixiang family, the Heaven Alliance, Yi Zhantian and the Huaxiaolong formation, the Tang family and the War Dragon family. How terrifying was this power when gathered together! It was a pressure that overflowed into the heavens, a strength that could topple mountains and overturn seas. However, Jiang Tian had chosen the simplest, crudest, and most decisive method, to kill. When Han Junkai pointed a gun at him, Jiang Tian had already decided that he would not let this person live. In fact, Jiang Tian also wanted to integrate into the secular world. He didn't want to lower himself to the level of these dogs and chickens. He wanted to solve the problem in a peaceful way. However, this didn't mean that he would remain indifferent to Han Juansai's arrogant and despotic behavior. After defeating the Bai family, his name as the arbiter was only known among the martial arts families. Many of the ordinary members of the upper class thought that he had to abide by the rules of the secular world and didn't dare to do anything to the secular families. Therefore, even after knowing Jiang Tian's identity, Han Batian and Han Daod were not afraid of him at all. They even wanted Jiang Tian to go to court with them. After Han Junkai found out that Jiang Tian was Kang Taechu, he even clamored for Jiang Tian to take a step back and let the matter rest. Otherwise, he would deal with the Jiang family. However, after Jiang Tian killed Han Junkai without any hesitation, the two of them immediately quieted down. They were completely shocked by his methods. The next step was to deal with the Song family. They hoped that the Song family would not try to resist and obediently admit defeat. "Master Kang, I'll take you back." Lin Tianlan chased him into the yard, bowed slightly, and said with a pitiful look on his face, "No need. I have a car." Jiang Tian waved his hand. When he walked into the yard, Jiang Tian glanced at Han Qingli, Huiba, and the others who had clamored for him before. When they saw Jiang Tian's gaze, their faces turned pale and they trembled in fear. In particular, the fair, rich, and beautiful woman who had mocked Jiang Tian as a fake crown prince was so scared that she sat down on the ground. She didn't even have time to care about her breasts between the slit of her cheongsam. After Jiang Tian left the Han residence, the entire Han residence was dead silent. Dark clouds gathered and shrouded in deep fear. Han Batian, who stood there like a piece of dead wood, was silent for a long time. Suddenly, he opened his mouth with difficulty and said, "Daod, prepare 10% of the Han Consortium's shares and pay a visit to Master Kang with Lin Tianlan." Although his voice was hoarse and mixed with a trace of sorrow, he was still able to maintain his composure and rationality. Han Batian lived up to his name as a fierce and ruthless person. He had been up and down the mountain and down the countryside, carried a gun, went through business, and served as the confidential secretary of a big leader. He had a rich resume and seen a lot. He was the spiritual leader of many second-generation crown princes. What kind of storms had he not experienced? "Father, How can I take this lying down? Han Dao's face was full of unwillingness. Even if you can't take this lying down, you have to. Do you have any ideas? Han Batian said in a low voice. Yes. Han Dao's body trembled. After a long silence, he sighed deeply. He had thought it through. Jiang Tian's power was not something they could resist or stop. Just like when he killed Han Junkai, he didn't do anything at all. He didn't even touch him. What evidence did he have? If he used this method to destroy the Han family, who could do anything? Besides, the adjudicator's powerful background and the 6 martial arts sects of Yan Jin, the Heaven Alliance, Chao Shixiang, Yi Zhantian, and other allies. How could the Han family be a match for him? Oh right, take Qingli with you. See if she can stay by Master Kang's side. Her attitude must be good. Han Batian thought for a while and said in a low voice. Han Dao's face was full of humiliation, but in the end, he could only grit his teeth and say, "Yes, father." After Han Dao left through the back door, Han Batian took a deep breath and strode into the courtyard. Although his eyes were still full of sorrow, he was able to squeeze out a smile and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, there was a small accident at today's gathering. My grandson suddenly had a heart attack, and I apologize for disturbing everyone. I apologize to everyone. Next, butler who will host the party." The party continued, but everyone's eyes were full of fear. The atmosphere was very tense and gloomy. Han Juansai's best friend had a few glasses of wine and shouted angrily, "Grandpa Han, what is the meaning of this?" Young Master Jun was clearly harmed by that Jiang woman. Is he just going to swallow his anger and not do anything? Shut up. You have no right to talk about this kind of thing. An elder next to him slapped him. Master Han has his reasons for doing this. Zhang Shisan explained, no matter how strong the Han family is, how can they challenge Master Kong who destroyed the Bai family? Besides, when did Master Kong kill anyone? Who saw it? He didn't even move. There's no evidence. Han Juansai's best friends were speechless. At first, Jiang Tian sent Han Junkai flying with a slap, but he immediately bounced around and was fine. When Han Junkai died, Jiang Tian only threatened him verbally. He didn't even hit him. What would the court say? However, if they were to say that he died because Jiang Tian slapped him, he was also holding a gun at that time. Jiang Tian was only defending himself. In fact, they knew that Master Kong must have killed Han Junkai with a mysterious spell. Unfortunately, the court wouldn't accept this logic. Master Han is a smart man. He knows when to stop. A senior figure said in a deep voice, his eyes flashing. Master Kong can't be offended. What he did was wise. If he manages it well, he might even be able to turn a disaster into an opportunity and obtain a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Han Junkai should have had this day a long time ago. Years ago, when he was racing on the second ring road, he killed a dozen civilians and put the Han family in a difficult position. I didn't expect him to not learn his lesson. Besides, Han Junkai has been flirting with women all these years. He's been fighting for women. Who did he learn that from? It was his father. A family representative who didn't get along well with the Han family sneered and said in a low voice. The man's words were sharp. The people around him could only smile awkwardly and didn't refute him. What he said was true. A man like Han Dao was powerful and influential. His projects were worth billions. Many rich and powerful people sent female celebrities to his bed in order to curry favor with him. Rumor had it that a businesswoman had invested 100 million to remake Dream of the Red Chamber in order to find a mistress for Han Dao. She held a nationwide audition for 12 actresses for Han Dao's pleasure. She had many admirers. Han Dao had more mistresses than he could count, and his illegitimate children were in double digits. That's it? Zhang Yilin asked incredulously as they walked out of the Han family's gate. What else can they do? Before Jiang Tian could say anything, Zhang Danfeng smiled proudly and said, didn't you see? Even Lin Tianlan knelt before Jiang Tian. But, cousin killed someone. Zhang Yilin said with a shocked face. She had seen Jiang Tian before, but that was in a private club in Zhonghai. There were no witnesses. But today, there were dozens of people present, and it was in front of Han Batian and the others. Wasn't this a little too arrogant? Stupid girl, shut up. Which eye of yours saw your cousin kill someone? Don't say anything outside. Zhang Qinzhen reprimanded her. Just you wait, the Han family will have to apologize to our brother Tian. Zhang Danfeng said proudly. This family doesn't know what's good for them. Yilin had already told Han Junkai about brother Tian's other identity, and he was so aggressive. I tried to persuade Han Daud, but he didn't listen. He even slapped me in the face. Now, he deserves it. Yes, they have no evidence. They are afraid of our cousin's power. They can only hold their nose and eat shit. Zhang Yilin also realized what was going on. She stuck out her tongue and looked at Jiang Tian with admiration. Her cousin was not exaggerating. He even dared to kill Han Junkai, and the Han family had to apologize to him. She could do whatever she wanted in Yanjin. Chapter 534. It was just as Zhang Danfeng had guessed. That night, Han Daud, accompanied by Lin Fengmian, Lin Tianlan, and Han Qingli, went to the gate of Yuhua Mountain Villa to apologize. Well, it's good that you're sincere. But give these shares to Zhang Yilin. Jiang Tian was sitting cross-legged under the octagonal pavilion, wearing a long green robe. When he cultivated, he used the appearance of the gunmetal divine body. His eyebrows and eyes were lowered, and his appearance was solemn. The abundant spiritual energy around him was like the rising clouds and rosy clouds. The dense mist rolled and rolled, making him look even more handsome, like a god that had descended to the mortal world. Jiang Tian looked indifferent. 10% of the Han's financial group's shares were worth billions, but he didn't care at all. Yes. Master Kong, don't worry. Han will handle it properly. Han Daod's face was full of joy, as if Jiang Tian had never killed his son. Jiang Tian finally opened his eyes. There was a strange crack in the void, and 2 electric arcs as thick as an arm shot out. God! This is a real god. Seeing this, Han Daod was even more in awe and fear. Now, the pain of losing his son had disappeared and was replaced by deep fear. He had more than a dozen illegitimate daughters. Han Junkai was just brought into the Han family and had a deeper relationship with him. In fact, he didn't care much about Han Juansai's life. He was angry because Jiang Tian had challenged his dignity and authority. When Han Juansai's mother wanted to rise in the palace, he had sent someone to kill her. He was such a ruthless person. How could he be bound by emotions? He only cared about his own interests. But later, he gradually understood that Han Junkai had not only offended Jiang Tian, but also almost brought the Han family to eternal damnation. His son was dead, but he still had other children. But if the Han family was finished, he would lose his wealth and become a beggar. He would lose his power and become a prisoner. That would be a fate worse than death. How amazing! Behind him, Han Qingli, who was wearing a red evening gown, was trembling in fear. Her full breasts rose and fell violently, creating dazzling waves. Then, he suddenly thought of something, and his eyes burned with passion. Still not leaving? Jiang Tian asked indifferently. Master Kong, this is my daughter, Qingli. She hasn't taken her wedding leave and is a virgin. She studied at the Ivy League Business School and has a very clear appearance. She has the reputation of being one of the 4 beauties in Beijing. Han Daod bowed and pushed his daughter out. With a smile, he said, if Master Kong is merciful and allows her to stay by Master Kang's side as a servant girl, then it will be her great fortune and also our Han family's fortune. Jiang Tian glanced sideways at Han Qingli. This woman was about 20 years old. Her facial features were exquisite, and her pair of peach blossom eyes were especially alluring. She was wearing a low-cut, backless evening gown on a cold day. Her skin was snowy and translucent, and it also showed off her figure. She was indeed a top-quality beauty. She was in the prime of a girl's life. Her skin was so soft that it was as if water could be squeezed out of it. Moreover, she was born into a good family and lived like a princess. She also had a graceful and elegant aura. Compared to those female celebrities and models, she was obviously on a higher level. Master Kong, please accept me. If you reject me, my self-esteem will be greatly damaged. Seeing Jiang Tian looking over, Han Qingli let out a bright smile. It was as if 100 flowers had bloomed in an instant. It's hard for you to wear so little on such a cold day. I appreciate your kindness, but I don't need it. I already have a lot of women around me. Jiang Tian rejected her indifferently, and Han Qingli's face stiffened. Han Dao was also disappointed. But, give me your bracelet. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Oh, this is a recuperation jade talisman. A good friend of mine gave it to me. Han Qingli's face lit up with joy. She thought that Jiang Tian had taken a fancy to the jade talisman and hurriedly handed it over to him. Vitality Jade Charm? Hee, the Vitality Jade Charm is more like it. Jiang Tian sneered and threw the jade charm on the ground. Crack! The moment the jade charm broke, the void twisted and trembled. Black smoke billowed and a ghost with disheveled hair and a green face with fangs quickly condensed. It screamed and ran out of the courtyard. This is an evil ghost. Han Dao and his daughter were so scared that their faces turned pale and their bodies trembled. Hee, it's just a ghost. It's not even a ghost general. What's there to be afraid of? Jiang Tian's divine sense moved. With a boom, the golden armor general jumped out. The green dragon crescent blade swept out and directly cut the ghost into ashes. It then turned into a golden light and jumped into Jiang Tian's divine sense. This is a golden deity. When Han Dao and his daughter saw this, they were dumbstruck and trembled, and their respect for Jiang Tian increased by a bit. Jiang Tian smiled and asked, "This jade charm was given to you by Song Shuangyan, right?" "Master Kong, how did you know?" "That's right. She gave it to me." Han Qingli suddenly understood something and felt a chill in her heart. "I can see it." Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said, "If you wear it for 3 more months, this ghost will take over your body and you will become a puppet that she can control at will." This bitch, how can she be so cruel? I treated her as a sister." Han Qingli was shocked and angry. She cursed fiercely. "You think that's all?" Jiang Tian's eyes were indifferent as he said, "These Yin souls are all filthy things, and they can't absorb other spiritual powers. They can only use your body as nourishment. You will feel cold all over, your yang qi will sink, and your qi and blood will deteriorate. It will only take 3 months for your essence, qi, and spirit to be exhausted, and you will become a dry corpse." Han Qingli's face turned pale and then she said angrily, "This bitch must be afraid that I will fight with her for young Master Lu Lishuan and also covet the Han family's secret. She is so hateful. I told you to stay away from this bitch, but you didn't believe me." Han Dao wrung his hands and sighed. This woman usually plays music and makes tea. She looks like she is aloof from worldly affairs. In fact, she is the most ambitious and ruthless. If Master Kong didn't find you today, you wouldn't be alive. "Young Master Lu. Who is that?" Jiang Tian asked with a frown. "The heir of the Lu family, Yan Jin's top official business family, Lu Lishuan." When this person was mentioned, Han Dao's face showed a bit of fear. He said in a low voice, "Among the 4th-generation nobles like Zhang Danfeng and Han Junfeng, this person is the spiritual leader. In terms of ability, means, background, and vision, he is one of the best. Even the elders have to avoid him. He is called the Crown Prince of Yanjin. Does this person have a martial arts background? Or is he a Dharma master?" Jiang Tian asked. I haven't heard of him yet. Han Dao thought for a moment and shook his head. Ha, he is just an ant. Jiang Tian didn't care about him at all. He looked at Han Qingli and said, Miss Han, I am going to the Song family to ask for some things. If there is a chance, please take me to see Song Shuangyan. Yes. Master Kong. Han Qingli's clear eyes showed a hint of gloating. Han Dao also showed a hint of joy. In the afternoon, the Han family gathered together to secretly study Jiang Tian's information. They knew that Song Shuangyan had broken off the engagement with him. They suddenly realized that the Song family's time of death had come. When Jiang Tian killed the Yin soul in Han Qingli's jade talisman. In the suburbs dozens of kilometers away, on the peak of the snow-capped Mount Yen, in the depths of the flying dragon villa of the Song family. An old man in a Taoist robe was shocked. He suddenly opened his malicious eyes and said hatefully, Your cultivation is not bad. You can actually destroy the little ghost that I have raised for 3 years in an instant. Oh no, Master Lei woke up. What startled him? Next to him, a few disciples who followed him to practice suddenly exclaimed. Whoosh! The old man had chicken skin and crane head. His body was stooped and his face was full of age spots. He was so old that all his teeth had fallen out. But the moment he stood up, his body was as majestic as a mountain. In his hand was a ball of dazzling lightning, which illuminated the whole central room. He shouted gloomily, How dare you! In Huaxia, there is someone who dares to touch my heavenly prestige. Do you want to die? This violent shout was like rolling thunder, which directly alarmed the entire Song family's old house. What happened to Master Lei? The head of the Song family, Song Beishan, looked fearful. He quickly stood up and walked toward the worship hall in the depths of the old house. The Song family was the third most powerful political and business family in Yanjing. Song Beishan was even more powerful and influential. But when he mentioned this Master Lei, his face was full of fear and reverence, as if he had seen a ghost. There was no other reason except that this so-called Master Lei was the only Taoist master in Huaxia, the last Taoist master of the Celestial Master sect in Longhu Mountain, Zhang Qianlei. Song Beishan, surrounded by Song Shuangyan and others, hurriedly walked into the worship hall. They all knelt down and said, Master Lei, I wonder what made you so angry. Zhang Qianlei looked down at everyone and said coldly, I sensed that someone destroyed the divine soul I have been raising for 3 years. This person is in Yanjing. Has there been any great Taoist master in Yanjing recently? The huge spiritual power reverberated in the entire Song family's old house, like the sea rolling and surging. Everyone felt a sharp pain in their heads and felt dizzy. Fortunately, they didn't faint on the spot. That soul-devouring talisman should be worn by Han Qingli. Song Shuangyan frowned and said, But Master Lei, how is that possible? The Yin soul you raised, even if only for 3 years, can't be destroyed by a mystic enlightening sorcerer or an immortal state warrior. The Han family, even the Lin family behind them, doesn't have an immortal state warrior. It can't be Kang Teichu, can it? He's the only immortal state warrior in Yanjing now. Song Beishan suddenly exclaimed. Kang Teichu? Who is that? Zhang Qianlei's eyes flashed with lightning as he asked in a deep voice. He's a peerless overlord who rose when Master Lei was in seclusion. He's known as the martial arts arbiter. Song Shuangyan said concisely, this person once killed 11 immortals on Xianglu Peak and destroyed the Bai family. Now, the 6 major martial arts families have surrendered to him. What? Are Bai Tianlei and his wife dead? Zhang Qianlei was slightly moved and couldn't believe it. Yes. Song Shuangyan lowered her head and said. I didn't expect them to be dead. Zhang Qianlei was slightly stunned and his face was full of sadness. He sighed and said regretfully, 30 years ago, I challenged Bai Tianlei and his wife. They were slightly inferior and gave up their swords. We agreed that after 30 years of cultivation on the dragon marrow spirit vein and reached the peak of the immortal state, they would fight with me again. I didn't expect the couple to be dead. I cultivated hard for 30 years and finally broke out of seclusion. However, my peers have either withered or gone into seclusion. In China, there is not a single enemy. Even if I have monstrous magic power, what use is it? Chapter 535. Suddenly, Zhang Qianlei's eyes shot out bolts of lightning and he said coldly, but Kang Te-chu defeated them, so he should be stronger than them. Then I'll kill him and reach the top of Huaxia. Master Lei is willing to suppress Kang Te-chu. If he wins, our Song family will be able to defeat all the martial arts and secular families and become the #1 in Yanjin and Huaxia. Song Shuangyan looked ecstatic and excited. Master Lei, are you really going to do it? Song Beishan said worriedly, but Kang Te-chu is so powerful. He's really at the peak of the immortal state and has a brilliant record. He killed Wang Chongyan, Qiao Bin, and the origin of the East Ocean Palace. He even broke through the 28th East Ocean Mixed Regiment. He's really terrible. Ha, I achieved the Taoist body 30 years ago. After 50 years of cultivation, I've reached the peak of the Taoist body and touched the edge of the immortal realm. Except for the old monster Yi Tianren, no one in the world can be my opponent. Zhang Qianlei suddenly turned his head and roared at Song Beishan. His huge spiritual power shattered all the doors and windows in all directions, and the entire central room almost collapsed in an instant. Ha, if I met someone at the peak of the immortal state 30 years ago, I might have to avoid it, but now, he rumbled. He took a step forward, and his originally stooped waist instantly straightened. His face twisted and changed, and his figure was like an inflated balloon, rapidly expanding and growing taller. His arms, thighs, and arms, which were originally as thin as firewood, were quickly filled with muscles and blood. The sparse and dirty white hair on his head quickly fell off, and black hair flowed out like a waterfall. Even his teeth grew out. It only took a breath. This aged Zhang Qianlei had actually transformed into a middle-aged man with a slender and imposing figure, an extraordinarily handsome appearance, a domineering bearing, and a might that suppressed the world and looked down upon all living beings in a myriad of worlds. My Taoist body has reached the phenomenal level. I can suppress the immortal state, control the thunder, summon the wind and rain, and crush everything. Kang Te-chu is nothing. Zhang Qianlei jumped up. He didn't break through the roof, but he was already hundreds of meters high. Thunder. Chi. He casually pulled. Like pulling a rag, a huge bolt of lightning that was as thick as a bowl and more than 20 meters long was pulled down from the depths of the clouds above the 9th heaven. This bolt of lightning illuminated the area within a few kilometers. It was extremely powerful. It was like a giant python that was struggling and dancing in his hand. Even though it was far away, it made everyone breathless. Zhang Qianlei was like the god of thunder. Bathed in lightning, he controlled the lightning and casually smashed it down. Rumble. Bang. Suddenly, a mountain peak that was tens of meters tall exploded. The hard granite crumbled like paper, and the steep mountain peak was flattened in the blink of an eye. Within a radius of a few miles, the ground trembled, the trees swayed violently, and snow rustled down. In the cold winter, a thunderbolt flattens the dangerous peak. Even when Bai Tianlei and his wife were at the peak of the divine realm, they could only penetrate a rock that was a few meters thick. However, Zhang Qianlei could control the heavenly thunder and blow up a mountain that was dozens of meters high. What kind of divine power, what kind of power, and how domineering was that? Seeing this, Song Beishan, Song Shuangyan and the others couldn't help but change their expressions. They were stunned and couldn't believe it. Was this still the power of a human being? He might have already surpassed the immortal state and become a real deity. On the path of cultivation, the cultivation from the lowest to the highest was perception, Taoist entry, mystic enlightenment, and Taoist body. Before reaching the Taoist body, although the spiritual power of a sorcerer was strong, he could mobilize the power of heaven and earth and had many dharma spells, but his body was weak and far inferior to that of a martial artist. Moreover, it took time to make hand gestures and recite spells. He was no match for a martial artist at all. After all, the other party had already killed him before he could do any of that. But once he reached the Taoist body, he would become a perfected cultivator. Golden mouth and jade words. Not only could he use many Dharma spells, but he could also control the power of heaven and earth at will. Moreover, his body would become incomparably strong and could swallow the power of heaven and earth. His body could change endlessly and his lifespan could be increased by 260 years. He would be immortal for 100 years after death. This was the true body, or perfected person's body. In ancient times, perfected person with Taoist body was a national protector and a figure respected by the emperor. It was said that after the Qing dynasty, there had been no Dharma spell masters with Taoist body cultivation in Huaxia. It was not an exaggeration to say that they were as rare as phoenix feathers and unicorn horns. They were simply like dragons in the sky. This is the real power of Master Lei. Song Beishan was so excited that his whole body trembled. Master Lei is like a hidden dragon in the abyss. He came out after 50 years of seclusion and turned into a dragon as soon as he met the wind and clouds. With him making a move, who would be a match for the Song family? Kang Te-chu is nothing. Song Shuangyan was ecstatic as she looked at the stalwart man standing proudly in the void and bathed in divine light, like a believer seeing a true god. The Zhang family broke off the engagement with the Han family. The Han family's Han Jun died of a sudden heart attack, but the Han family gave the Zhang family 10% of the Han family's financial group's shares. When the news spread, the Zhang family's status suddenly rose. It caused a lot of waves and discussions in the upper-class society of Yanjing, and caused a lot of speculation. There were also rumors that this might be related to the martial arts adjudicator Kang Te-chu. For a time, the adjudicator's reputation was even greater. On this day, Jiang Tian just woke up. Jiang Wan pulled Jiang Tian's sleeve and begged with a bitter face, "Jiang Tian, why don't you take me to Yanjing to play? It's so boring in the villa." Jiang Wan was 6 or 7 years old, and she was the most active and playful. She thought that Yanjing would be lively and fun, but she did not expect to live in the deserted fragrant mountain. Everyone was either cultivating or busy with various things, and no one cared about her. At first, she was very happy to make snowmen and ski, but it was annoying to make snowmen every day. "Okay, let's go out and play." Jiang Tian smiled and touched her little head. Then he went to the living room and said, "Who wants to go shopping? Let's go together." Behind the Apple PC, Jiang Banksia stretched and said, "I'm not going. I'm busy with the documents and drafting the company's articles of association." Yi Ziwei, who was watching the financial news, also waved her hand and said, "I'm not interested. I have to review the decoration design of the new office building." Huang Linger sat cross-legged on the sofa and said solemnly, "I have to break through as soon as possible. Shopping is boring." At the Shuangqing villa, Qing'er's ethereal voice came through the house and yard, "Cultivate. Only cultivation is the way to go." Shen Mange went home to accompany her family for the holiday, not to mention. "Jiang Tian, why do I feel that everyone is very busy, and you are the only one who has nothing to do?" Jiang Wan mocked. "Who said that? How would you know when I'm busy?" Jiang Tian was speechless. "That's right." Jiang Banksia took a sip of the fragrant hot coffee and joked, "Everyone is working for him, but he's the only one who is comfortable, lying down and counting money every day. Haha, a capitalist is the kind who doesn't know anything, doesn't do physical work, and doesn't know the difference between grain and rice. He let others do everything." The older Jiang Wan was, the sharper her tongue was. "Do you still want to go or not? If you talk nonsense again, I'll show you that I'm busy." Jiang Tian hit Jiang Wan's head and drove a Volkswagen Passat down the mountain with Jiang Wan to play. The car was very cheap, only about 200,000 yuan. It was an office car purchased by the Yaowang Holdings. Basically, the middle-level managers each had one. Jiang Tian's Rolls-Royce Phantom was left in Jinling for Jiang Chao. Jiang Tian was not particular about cars, so he asked for a few from the company and put them in Yuhua Mountain Villa. Everyone used them when they went out. He took Jiang Wan to eat all kinds of snacks, such as rolls with donkey, fried triangles, flour cakes, soy milk, and braised pork. Then they went to Happy Valley in Chaoyang district to play. Jiang Wan's face was red from the cold, but her mood was very satisfied. It was already noon when they left Happy Valley. Jiang Wan held the candied haws and complained that she was hungry. Jiang Tian drove her to the pedestrian street of the Duke's mansion to eat. When they just got out of the car, suddenly, a surprised voice came, Jiang Tian, is that you? Jiang Tian looked back and saw Lu Yiting. He smiled and said, Old class monitor, I haven't seen you for a few years. You've become more and more beautiful. The last time Jiang Tian saw Lu Yiting, he helped her to ask Li Huiyan to be her spokesperson in Linzhou. After that, Jiang Tian returned to Jinling and never saw her again. However, Lu Yiting would send a text message to Jiang Tian almost every time there was a festival. She would also go to Jinling to visit Zhang Wanqing. She had mentioned to Zhang Wanqing more than once that she wanted to give some shares of Beautiful Sky to the Jiang Tian family. After all, Beautiful Sky relied on Jiang Tian's beauty cream. But when Jiang Tian found out about it, he refused. He even gave her a few prescriptions, such as the Vanishing Cream and Jade Face Cream. Lu Yiting's skin was fair, and her makeup was exquisite. Her short hair made her look capable and neat. She was wearing a long camel coat and a limited edition crocodile skin Prada bag. The coat was lined with a tight cashmere turtleneck sweater, which made her breasts and waist look even more slender. She was wearing a short woolen skirt and black leggings. She was wearing a pair of sharp black high heels with red soles. She was mature and charming with a clean and neat look. She was elegant and had a strong aura. She was dressed like a big sister in the workplace. Am I beautiful? Yes, I have been using your prescriptions. Lu Yiting's face was full of joy. She almost ran over and hugged Jiang Tian's arm. You really came to Yanjing. But I didn't expect to see you here. I was just about to call you. You saw the announcement of the Medicine King group, right? Jiang Tian smiled. Jiang Weiner was chewing on the candied haws. She rolled her eyes and said coldly, What are you doing? I'm going to tell on you. Jiang Tian, you are not honest. It turns out that you didn't come to take me out to play, but to pick up girls. I was too excited. After all, we haven't seen each other for more than 2 years. Lu Yiting let go of her hand awkwardly. She didn't know why, but when she saw Jiang Tian, she felt very comfortable and peaceful. She couldn't help but want to get closer to Jiang Tian. She bent over and looked at Jiang Weiner with a smile. Don't tell on me. What gift do you want? Auntie will buy it for you. Sister, I'm Jiang Tian's cousin. I'm not his junior. I want an Apple Watch. Jiang Weiner suddenly had a good impression of Lu Yiting. She was beaming with joy and looked like a little money grubber. Can't you be more mature? You want things from people. Jiang Tian rolled his eyes at Jiang Weiner. Chapter 536. I've been asking you for half a day, but you won't buy it for me. Tell me, how stingy are you? Jiang Weiner raised her eyebrows and said sarcastically, Okay, then I'll go and tell on you. Naughty girl. Believe it or not, I'll throw you back to Jinling City. Jiang Tian couldn't do anything to Jiang Weiner. Even a dog would despise a 6-year-old child. Your words are useless. My sister-in-law Qinger's words are useful. You are a henpecked husband. Jiang Weiner sneered. Jiang Tian was shocked by her words. Lu Yiting smiled and said, Jiang Tian, it's too cold outside. Let's find a restaurant to eat and talk. It's my treat. Let's eat here. Jiang Tian looked around and saw a Western restaurant called Champs-Élysées. He raised his hand and pointed at it. Jiang Weiner bit the candied haws and jumped with joy. She smiled and said, "Great, this is the first time I've eaten in a Western restaurant." "Jiang Tian, this can't be." Lu Yiting held Jiang Weiner's little hand and said in disbelief. He meant that the Jiang family was the most wealthy family in Jinling City. How could his cousin not eat Western food? "Ha, you overestimate him. He is so stingy. He spends money in half. I've never eaten Western food since I was a child." Jiang Weiner sneered. Jiang Tian didn't bother to talk to her. He looked at Lu Yiting and explained, "My father is very strict. He doesn't let children eat Western food in the name of promoting national culture." "Oh, I see. What a family." Lu Yiting suddenly understood. She noticed that Jiang Weiner was wearing a long cotton robe and old cloth shoes. Her hair was tied up in an old-fashioned bun. If it weren't for her fair face and temperament, she would have looked like a country girl. Only the antique high-ice jade hairpin, which was worth at least 1,000,000 yuan, in her hair bun revealed the monstrous wealth of the family behind her. He took Jiang Weiner into the sightseeing elevator and came to the Champs-Élysées restaurant. After entering the restaurant, Jiang Tian found that it was a different world. This restaurant was located on the top floor of the hotel, overlooking half of the Chaoyang district. The decoration was luxurious and the service was excellent. Furthermore, they were all cooked by famous French chefs, and the band on the small stage was playing the song, Blue Danube. It gave off a luxurious feeling, and it was probably a first-class restaurant in Beijing. The dining table was clean and tidy, and the silver knives and forks were dazzling. They were placed neatly, and the waiters were all elegant. Among them, there was no lack of blonde foreign waiters. The head waiter was a French girl who was proficient in many languages. Of course, the price was also ridiculously high. The cost of a meal per person was more than 10,000 yuan. The guests were either rich or respectable. However, this level of consumption was nothing to Jiang Tian or even Lu Yiting. After Lu Yiting sat down, she called the waiter over and ordered the food according to Jiang Tian's taste. Jiang Tian looked at the price list left by the waiter. It was more than 50,000 yuan. "Sis, let me borrow your phone for a moment. I need to cram some Western food etiquette." Jiang Wan stretched out her hand and said with a smile. "This little girl is so cute." Lu Yiting handed the white and elegant iPhone to Jiang Wan. How have you been in the past 2 years?" Jiang Tian and Lu Yiting blurted out almost at the same time. Then, they looked at each other and smiled. Jiang Tian said, "You go first. Beauty is now the #1 luxury brand in China." Lu Yiting felt a surge of warmth in her heart. She looked at Jiang Tian gently with her sparkling eyes and said, "Brother Jiang Tian, the effect of beauty cream is far better than brands like Chanel, Estée Lauder, Lancôme, and Gucci. However, the beauty cream is a new brand, and it doesn't have a strong foundation. In addition, it's a herbal formula, and it's not well accepted. In the beginning, it was promoted on the ground and relied on my beauty shop. Later, after Li Huiyan became the spokesperson, the product positioning became high-end, and the sales also opened up. She has also starred in a few Chinese and Korean co-productions recently, and her influence in Southeast Asia and East Asia is growing. The product's image is also rising. We changed the packaging, and the price increased tenfold. Many of the products are sold for more than 10,000 yuan. Change the packaging? You didn't change the formula. If you don't give me the new formula, how can I change it?" Lu Yiting sipped her coffee elegantly. There was a smile in her beautiful eyes, and she gently shook her head. "Are you robbing me?" Jiang Tian knocked on the table and laughed. "Those things, the cost of a bottle is only about 100 yuan, right? 100 times the profit?" "Yes, this is the luxury industry. They don't buy the best, only the most expensive. If the price is too low, it will affect the sales." Lu Yiting said in a matter-of-fact tone, "It's a show-off. At present, it's probably still a period where people need to use brands to satisfy their vanity and improve their personal image. Just like the customers of this restaurant. Look, how many people are taking photos and posting them on Weibo to show off. Jiang Tian looked around and nodded, that's right. One is willing to hit, and one is willing to be hit. The foreign brands I just mentioned are not as good as ours, but the price is more expensive. Lu Yiting smiled. Previously, there was a venture capital investor who contacted me. The valuation of beauty is 2 billion yuan. But I didn't accept the investment. Yes, there's no need. We have enough funds. Jiang Tian said with a smile. It's precisely because I'm considering that the product will be marketed internationally in the future that I moved the company to Beijing. It's only been a month, and we've just opened for business. The company's headquarters is not far from here. Lu Yiting tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and said with a satisfied smile, that's right. Actually, I didn't expect that I would have such a day. Beauty is actually revived and developed so well. Actually, there's also the problem of the nation's self-confidence. Jiang Tian smiled and said, the Chinese herbal medicine wasn't recognized at first, but now, they're slowly recognizing it. Are you praising yourself? At this moment, the dishes were served. Lu Yiting skillfully used the knife and fork to cut the steak, chewing and swallowing slowly. She looked at Jiang Tian mockingly. I'm praising myself. Jiang Tian was stunned. Only then did he realize that she was referring to him defeating TKM and thwarting TKM's application for the World Heritage Site. He waved his hand and smiled, that's not what I mean. This is the trend of the times. With the rapid development of Huaxia's economy and the continuous rise of its international status, the nation's self-confidence has naturally increased. It used to be that the moon in other countries is rounder than in our country, but now everyone realizes that the quintessence of our country is not bad. However, after you defeated TKM, our sales have indeed been rising steadily, doubling every month. Lu Yiting looked at Jiang Tian with a smile and raised her wine glass. Come, Jiang Tian, for the nation's self-confidence, let me toast you. Her small, jade-white hands were sparkling and translucent against the scarlet wine in the goblet, as if they were snow. This reason is reasonable. I can't refuse it. Jiang Tian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He raised his wine glass and clinked it with hers before taking a sip. Western food is so troublesome. I'm not eating it anymore. Jiang Weiner complained resentfully. Although she had just learned how to eat Western food, she had never used a knife and fork after all. She often made loud noises, which made the little girl sweat anxiously. In this hurry, she forgot the knowledge she had learned. In addition, there were many authentic Western tableware, so the little girl took the small spoon used for dessert to serve soup. Lu Yiting smiled gently, took her plate, and helped her to remove the steak, cut the foie gras, and lobster meat. She cut them piece by piece and sent them to her. Eat. At this time, Jiang Tian found that there was a girl in an evening dress diagonally behind him, taking photos of him with her mobile phone. What is she taking photos of? Could it be that I am very strange? Jiang Tian frowned and asked Lu Yiting. Lu Yiting covered her mouth and laughed, maybe your outfit is too different. Jiang Tian was originally wearing an old-fashioned green cotton padded jacket, but he had a special physique, and the restaurant was warm. After drinking a few glasses of wine, he felt a little hot, so he took it off, revealing the cotton short-sleeved t-shirt inside. In addition, he was wearing casual pants and a pair of old Beijing cloth shoes. He looked very different from the people around him who were wearing evening gowns, suits, leather shoes, and brocade clothes. He looked very out of place. Oh, that's it. Only Weiner and I stand firmly together and keep the same style. Jiang Tian smiled and didn't take it to heart. A cultivator's Taoism was natural and not limited to material things. He could move freely between heaven and earth and did everything with his heart. Even the appearance of a person could be changed at will, let alone the clothes. Then what are you going to reward me with? Don't just talk about it. Give me something practical. Jiang Weiner sneered. I'll buy you an Apple mobile phone later. You've been talking about me all the way. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Brother, you're so nice. You deserve to be my brother. Weiner hugged Jiang Tian and kissed him a few times. When she was happy, her voice was a little loud. The girl who had secretly taken a picture of Jiang Tian's black evening gown snorted disdainfully and said, "No manners." Lu Yiting turned her head to take a look. She saw that the girl was adorned with jewelry and exquisite makeup. Her eyebrows were lightly drawn, her lips were lightly smeared, and her charming red phoenix eyelashes were slightly curved. She was both cute and sexy. Her white face matched with the black evening gown was really charming and beautiful. Sitting opposite her was a fat man with big ears. He was wearing a suit and leather shoes. His leather shoes and swept-back hair were shiny and shiny. He was dressed like a successful person. Seeing Lu Yiting looking over, the successful man snorted disdainfully. He deliberately showed his gold Rolex watch to look at the time, and skillfully snapped his fingers and shouted, "Waiter." The French waitress was the one who paid for her. After the fat man paid, he threw out 100 yuan bill. The French waitress said in fluent English, "Thank you." That made the fat boss smile proudly. The girl in the black evening gown took a picture of Jiang Tian and said disdainfully, "Some people don't know how to eat Western food, but they still pretend to be elegant. Why are they learning how to eat French food? Have you eaten Kentucky Fried Chicken or McDonald's? You're like a naughty child from the beginning to the end. You're restless and noisy. You have no manners at all. You're a disgrace." Jiang Weiner had already heard it. She deliberately pretended to be pitiful. "Jiang Tian, you're so poor that you can't even bear to let me eat Kentucky Fried Chicken. Now you're showing your cowardice, aren't you? I've embarrassed you, haven't I?" When the fat boss heard this, he was even more disdainful of Jiang Tian. He sneered arrogantly and said, "That's right. Some people drive a lousy Passat here. They can't even afford a suit. Even if they have to sell everything they have, they still insist on eating Western food to prove that they're part of the upper class. Isn't that childish?" At first, Jiang Weiner thought it was quite fun. She just wanted to make fun of Jiang Tian. But after listening to it, she became annoyed. It's okay for others to make fun of me, but how can they make fun of my cousin? Only I can make fun of my cousin in the whole world. She threw away her knife and fork, turned her head and sneered. "You think you're so great just because you can eat French food? You think you're inferior to me just because you can't eat French food? Who do you think you are?" Chapter 537. Jiang Weiner's voice was crisp and soft, but her sharp tongue was top-notch. "Besides, we like to eat like this. It's none of your business. Do you think eating like Westerners is elegant? That's just a step and a procedure. It's just a meal. What's the point of caring so much about it? Those who care too much about these things are vulgar. They are the kind of people who desperately want to prove that they are in the upper class. That's really naive. I also like to eat with my hands. What can you do about it? We're just casual. Why? We don't care about it. Look at you. You're taking photos when you come out for a meal. You're even dressed up. You haven't eaten much, have you? You only come here once a year and a half, right? Look, look, the powder on that auntie's face is thicker than the wall of the Great Wall of Badeling. Grandpa, the hair wax on your head can withstand the bombardment of artillery shells, right? Who are you pretending for? Don't you feel tired? You. What are you talking about? The girl in the evening dress was trembling with anger. The fat boss's face also turned red. In fact, Jiang Weiner was right. They had been planning to have a meal at the Champs-Élysées for half a year. "Weiner, you're really good at talking. This is the same as when we were in university. You're right. You're so arrogant." Lu Yiting couldn't help but praise her with a surprised face. "I can't teach you well. Family misfortune, family misfortune." "Weiner, shut up. Or I'll tell your mother. Jiang Tian put his hand on his forehead and felt extremely helpless. At this time, the French forewoman looked at Jiang Weiner and said gently, Miss, it's indeed uncivilized to eat with your hands when eating Western food. Civilized? People in India have always eaten with their hands. I can only say that this is not civilized in your eyes. Jiang Weiner continued to pester endlessly. Besides, there is a serious problem with your position. You're the manager. Now you should persuade both sides to resolve the conflict. But you're obviously intensifying the conflict and taking sides. If I were the restaurant owner, I would fire you now. Because your attitude will anger one side. Of course, it's not your fault. He gave you 100 yuan tip. He probably thinks we can't afford it. The forewoman's face stiffened. She did not expect to be ridiculed by Jiang Wan, who looked 7 or 8 years old. Around 2009, everyone was more or less fawning over foreigners. In Beijing, not to mention French men, even black men could change their girlfriends every day and call Huaxia girls easy girls. The Huaxia men who came to eat here had always been polite and courteous. They were especially polite to them and even a little fearful. Jiang Weiner changed the topic and fired at the man and woman again. Let's go back to the topic just now. We were eating and didn't offend anyone, right? But that woman took photos. What did that mean? Haven't you seen people wearing t-shirts, long gowns, and old cloth shoes while eating Western food? Are you going to post on your WeChat moments and Weibo to mock us? Who doesn't know manners? Who doesn't have manners? The girl in the evening gown snorted and said, Who's taking pictures? I'm taking pictures of the scenery, okay? Jiang Wan ignored her and looked at the foreman again, saying, You're funny. At that time, you were paying the bill for them. Didn't you see this old auntie taking pictures? Why didn't you stop this impolite behavior? It was probably because of that 100 yuan tip. Wasn't that despicable? You're twisting the truth just for 100 yuan. The foreman smiled stiffly and said, Miss, you misunderstood. It's not like that, she scolded us. The girl in the evening gown seemed to have suddenly found something that could be used against her. She pointed at Jiang Wan and said, in such a high-end occasion, wearing a long gown and old cloth shoes, not knowing how to eat Western food, and still scolding us. What a fucking disappointment. You have good manners. You even scolded us. When I said she was despicable, it was an objective evaluation of her personality, not a scolding. Jiang Wan sneered and said, What's wrong with wearing a long gown? The long gown is the essence of traditional clothing and the symbol of Chinese clothing culture. Its smooth lines, elegant shape, and implicit artistic conception express the Chinese people of the past 100 years, especially the classical, graceful, sexy, and reserved nature of women. It also shows the modesty, strength of character, and bearing of men. It also carries the cultural meaning of unity and harmony between man and nature. Do you understand? But this is a Western restaurant. The girl in the evening gown was tongue-tied by Jiang Wan, and couldn't say anything. Let me tell you, ethnic is the best. I like it. I want ethnic to the end. Jiang Wan smiled and said, Brother, give me New Year's money. I'm going to throw money at people. Jiang Tian pretended to dig in his pocket and then took out 100,000 yuan in cash. Let me tell you, the New Year's money is in advance. Don't ask me for it during the Spring Festival. Is your pocket Doraemon's pocket? Can it hold so much money? Lu Yiting's eyes widened. Jiang Wan had already gotten used to it. She took a pile of money and slapped it on the table. This is for you. Let the band play, taking 5 Tigers Mountain. I like this ethnic style. The head waitress was embarrassed and said with a reserved smile, I'm sorry, we are a Western restaurant. They don't play traditional Huaxia operas. Continue to give me money. Why are you still standing there? Jiang Wan reached out to Jiang Tian and ordered Jiang Tian around. I owe you, don't I? Let me tell you, next year's New Year's money is also in advance. Jiang Tian was so angry that his teeth itched. He took out a check, picked up a pen, signed it, and threw it on the table. 500,000 yuan. Okay. Sir, miss, please raise the money. Let's play the music. The head waitress looked at it and her eyes widened. She took the check and gathered a pile of money, beaming with joy. She spoke the Beijing opera very well. I'll sing the excerpt from Taking 5 Tigers Mountain. Disaster fell from the sky on a snowy night 8 years ago. Then she rushed to the stage and gave some instructions. When the music started, she picked up the microphone and began to sing with perfect articulation. I said she was cheap, but she still sang for me obediently. Jiang Wan looked at the girl in the evening dress with a sinister smile. She was also good at disgusting people. Auntie, do you think it's nice? Is it pleasant? If you don't want to listen, get out of here. Lu Yiting laughed. Jiang Tian, she's exactly the same as you when you were in university. If you hadn't said it before, I would have suspected that she's your biological daughter. No, she's my aunt's daughter. My uncle has no status, so she took her mother's surname. Ha! Jiang Tian said gloomily, if I had a daughter like her, I would be angered to death by her. The girl in the evening dress was furious at Jiang Wan's arrogant and despotic manner. She pulled the fat man and said coquettishly, look, they're bullying me. You have to get out of here. Didn't you say that you're from Zhenyang district? Okay. You've got guts. You must be a nouveau riche from the countryside. Let's see how long you can keep this up. The fat man made a call for help. After a while, a few defense team members came. They walked up to the fat man, nodded and bowed, and asked politely, Brother Hao, what's going on? The fat man tore off a few buttons on his collar, picked up a glass of wine, and calmly poured it on himself. He pointed at Jiang Tian and smiled. This kid poured wine on me, tore my shirt, and hit me. Take him into custody. Please come with us. Cooperate with the investigation. A few defense team members walked up to Jiang Tian and snorted proudly. Damn, this is interesting. Jiang Tian shook his head, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. At the foot of the emperor, at the foot of the imperial city. This kid is really something. The fat man smiled sinisterly and said, I'll tell you straight. My name is Gu Jinhao. I'm Zhang Huchen from Crown Prince Hotel. Have you heard of him? I'm ferocious. Don't you know who dares to provoke me in Chaoyang district? Jiang Tian didn't move. How could such a small fry be worthy of his attention? It seemed that this kid was one of Zhang Huchen's men. But he didn't have Zhang Huchen's phone number. How could he call his mother? Hurry up, what are you waiting for? Cooperate with us. Several members of the defense team pointed at Jiang Tian and scolded him sternly. Jiang Weiner was already angry. She smiled coldly and said, You're really good at distorting the truth. Have you learned about the law? A 7-year-old child is completely incompetent in civil and criminal matters. Murder, arson, and beating people are not illegal. What did you say? A little brat talking about the law with me? I think you're asking for a beating. A burly member of the defense team, who was about 1.8 meters tall and weighed more than 100 kilograms, pointed at Jiang Wan and said with an evil look on his face. It was almost the Spring Festival. Everyone recalled the fear of being dominated by a naughty kid and was in a bad mood. Is that so? Jiang Weiner smiled coldly. Her eyes were already very cold. She suddenly stood up and punched the big man in the stomach with her small fist. Whoosh! The big man suddenly bent over. His eyes bulged and he spat out all the food he had just eaten. Then Jiang Weiner's 1-inch punch exploded. Her huge body flew 7 or 8 meters away like a rag doll and crashed through 5 or 6 tables before falling to the ground. Sacred Heart King Fist. You're really good at it. Jiang Tian first praised her, and then he said with a frown, why did you teach her that? Grandpa, why are you teaching her this? Naughty children are already very annoying, let alone a naughty child with cultivation. Brother, what should I do? Boo-hoo. Jiang Weiner. She burst into tears. She was vomited all over and was disgusted to death. Who told you to beat people? You deserve it. Jiang Tian didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Lu Yiting quickly took a tissue to help her clean up. Little brat, how could you beat people? At this time, several stunned defense team members came to their senses. They took out their batons and hit Jiang Weiner. You still want to hit me? I'll beat you to death. Jiang Weiner was so angry. She took off her gown and threw them away. Then she rushed into the crowd of enemies. She jumped up and slapped a person away. Then she kicked another person's groin and made him kneel down. Then she elbowed and disabled another person's combat ability. Let's change the song for the young lady, General's order. On the stage, the French forewoman was very excited. She gestured to the band and said with a smile. Okay. Several blonde-haired and blue-eyed foreigners immediately began to play excitedly. Piano, guitar, bass, and drums were played together. It was a lively and festive scene. Chapter 538. Although Jiang Wan was small, her pair of small fists were strong and vigorous. In the dense drumbeats, she jumped up and down like an agile monkey. It only took her 3 minutes to put several members of the defense team on the ground. Don't come over. Gu Jinhao was dumbfounded. When he saw Jiang Weiner approaching, he was so scared that his face turned pale. He trembled and staggered back. A 5-foot-tall man was scared out of his wits by a little girl, and the scene made everyone laugh again. Okay, I won't go over. Take it. Jiang Wan casually grabbed a wine bottle and threw it over. Bang! The wine bottle broke on Gu Jinhao's forehead, and the wine and glass pieces splashed everywhere. Gu Jinhao fell to the ground on his back. His female companion was still frantically calling for help. Master Hu, it's not good. Brother Hao was beaten up. Come over and help. You're still calling for help? That's all you can do. Jiang Wan rushed over, grabbed her hair, and pulled it down abruptly. Fuck, let go of me. The girl screamed, and a strand of hair fell off her scalp. She could not help but bend over in pain. Jiang Wan jumped up, and a fierce knee hit the girl's face. The girl's nose collapsed immediately. She fell to the ground with blood gushing out of her nose and cried loudly. Good. Awesome. Nice fight. Her movements are clean and neat. She must have been taught by a famous master. She can be on the New Year's gala. The surrounding diners spontaneously applauded, and the cheers were so loud that it almost overturned the roof. They saw the whole process of Gu Jinhao bullying others and the defense team members distorting the truth, and they hated it. Seeing Jiang Weiner turn the tables, they were overjoyed. The key was that Jiang Weiner's fight was really beautiful. It was both enjoyable and practical. It was like an action movie. It stinks. Wah. You'll change my clothes, wah wah wah, you'll change my clothes. But Jiang Weiner was not happy at all. She wrinkled her nose and smelled the stench on her body. Wah. She burst into tears again. She was so angry that she hit Gu Jinhao's stomach with her fists. Clang. Clang. He kicked non-stop. Now, Gu Jinhao's nose bridge had also collapsed. Call the police. Help me call the police. Gu Jinhao kept vomiting, and the stinky vomit mixed with blood flowed all over his body. His teeth fell out, and the corners of his mouth cracked. He cried and begged, asking people to call the police, but no one paid any attention to him. Help, someone help me. Gu Jinhao's weak and miserable voice echoed in the restaurant. Brother Hao, who had traveled extensively for half of his life, was the second manager of the Crown Prince Hotel's branch on Junwang Road, and was also a tyrant in Chaoyang district, was actually beaten up like this by a 7-year-old child. This was too sullen. He called out to the heavens, but to no avail. He actually began to wail. There was no need to mention how sad he was, as if he had been wronged like a child. Stop fighting. Is there an end to this? In the end, it was Jiang Tian who pulled Jiang Wan over. If they continued to beat him, he would definitely die. At this time, a customer sitting next to him kindly advised him, "Don't worry. Little brother, quit while you're ahead. Hurry up and leave. He's Zhang Huchen's man. You can't afford to offend him." Yeah, Zhang Huchen is a tyrant in Yanjin because of his uncle's prestige. You can't afford to offend him. Yeah, I heard that even the Han family was defeated by the Zhang family recently. Zhang Huchen is even more powerful now. Everyone was shocked when they thought of this, and then they hurriedly advised him. While they were talking, a few of Gu Jinhao's reinforcements arrived. They were all dressed in luxurious clothes and looked quite powerful. Fuck, he's beaten up like this. Who is it? That's too damn arrogant. Call Brother Huchen over. When they saw Gu Jinhao's appearance, they immediately flew into a rage. Zhang Huchen of the Crown Prince Hotel. Lu Yiting was also shocked when she heard that. She quickly pulled Jiang Tian's hand and said, "Jiang Tian, let's go." Although she had not been in Yanjin for long, she had heard about Zhang Huchen's hot temper and ability. Even though he was not considered a first-rate rich kid in Yanjin, he was not someone that Jiang Tian, a second-generation rich kid from another city, could compare to. When they saw Lu Yiting, one of the rich kids walked over and said with a half-smile, "Yiting, did your friend cause trouble?" "Young Master Long. It's just a misunderstanding. Can you help me talk to young Master Huchen?" Lu Yiting quickly stood up and pleaded. This so-called young Master Long was called Long Yu. He was the son of the district's Bureau of Industry and Commerce. Lu Yiting had visited the Long family and invited them to dinner several times. Long Yu moved closer to Lu Yiting, and the two of them whispered for a while. In the end, Long Yu rolled his eyes and said something in a low voice. Lu Yiting was shocked when she heard that. She quickly shook her head and took a step back. Long Yu wrinkled his nose and said proudly, "If that's what you said, then I can't do anything about it. Your friend will be taught a lesson and have his legs broken. That's Zhang Huchen we're talking about. Who would dare to offend Zhang Zhongguo's nephew?" As for Jiang Tian, he didn't even glance at him. He had heard from Lu Yiting that he was the young master of the Medicine King group in Jinlin. What use was that? He was just a country bumpkin. There were too many rich and powerful people in Yanjin. He was nothing compared to the Zhang family. Who does Zhang Huchen think he is? How dare he act rashly in front of me? Take Wan to the bathroom to wash up. Jiang Tian smiled faintly, his eyes filled with contempt. Kid, you're too arrogant. Watch your mouth. Yu Long's face turned cold when he heard that. His slightly widened eyes were filled with killing intent. Lu Yiting was also taken aback. She whispered to Jiang Tian, a wise man knows better than to fight when the odds are against him. You go first. I'll take care of this. At this moment, surrounded by a few companions, Zhang Huchen walked over arrogantly with a gloomy face and the smell of alcohol coming from his mouth. Young Master Zhang. Boss Zhang. When the group of waiters saw him coming over, they all took a few steps back and shouted in a hushed voice. Young Master Zhang. Young Master Hu. Yu Long's companions and friends, as well as the customers in the restaurant who didn't know him, all stood up to greet him. Zhang Huchen ignored them and didn't even bother to nod. He had been frustrated lately since the situation in his family had changed. He used to be a big shot in the Zhang family. He managed a few hotels and entertainment clubs and was living a good life in Yanjin. However, Jiang Tian had come to Yanjin and was not leaving. His parents had asked him not to stir up trouble outside, in case Jiang Tian heard about it and punished him. Yes, in Zhang Huchen's eyes, Jiang Tian was like an old demon god that was pressing down on their heads. He was able to defeat the Bai family and suppress the 6 major martial arts families. If he wasn't a demon god, what else could he be? Zhang Huchen couldn't help but tremble every time he thought about how Jiang Tian could withstand a bullet, how Fat Fu had to kneel down when he saw Jiang Tian, and how even Han Junkai of the Han family was beaten up by Jiang Tian, but Jiang Tian was still safe and sound. I beat up such a demon god when I was a kid and called him a son of a bitch. Oh God. Zhang Huchen's hand that had beaten up Jiang Tian 10 years ago couldn't help but tremble as if he had Parkinson's disease. He couldn't even hold his chopsticks steadily. It had become a psychological shadow for him for the rest of his life. It was an endless nightmare and he couldn't sleep at night whenever he thought about it. Kid, did you just call me names? Fuck, I'll break your legs, you. Jiang Tian. Zhang Huchen rushed over from behind Jiang Tian, slammed the table and shouted loudly. However, the moment he saw Jiang Tian, he was so scared that his body trembled and he stood there like a wooden statue. Don't be angry, Mr. Hu. My friend just came to Yanjin and hasn't heard of you yet. It's just a misunderstanding. I'll pay for the medical expenses. I'll take full responsibility. Lu Yiting hurried to persuade Jiang Tian with a smile. As she spoke, she winked at Jiang Tian and said, Jiang Tian, this is Zhang Huchen from the Crown Prince Hotel. His father is Zhang Zhonghua, the 3rd most powerful man in Yanjin. Jiang Tian smiled and said, Huchen, is this how Zhang Zhonghua taught you? Long Yu was enraged. He pointed at Jiang Tian's nose and scolded, who do you think you are? How dare you call Secretary Zhang Zhonghua by his full name? Don't you know the rules? Gu Jinhao was also full of vigor. He pointed at Jiang Tian and scolded, Kid, how dare you talk nonsense? This is Mr. Hu. He will kill you in minutes. Slap. A crisp slap landed on Long Yu's face and he was sent rolling 3 meters away. Long Yu's face was flushed red. He looked at Zhang Huchen in disbelief and said, Mr. Hu, motherfucker, I've long found you guys an eyesore. You've been using my name to bully people every day. Have you ruined my reputation? Do you want to die? Zhang Huchen let out a thunderous roar and kicked Gu Jinhao to the ground again. Everyone was stunned. Zhang Huchen hit Long Yu and Gu Jinhao. How was that possible? They were Zhang Huchen's loyal followers. Besides, wasn't it Zhang Huchen's style to bully people? Did he like it that much? Under everyone's incredulous gazes, Zhang Huchen was like a loyal dog that had seen its master. He ran to Jiang Tian, nodded and bowed with a face full of fear and pity, and stammered, Jiang, brother Tian, I was wrong. Please forgive me this time. You made Mr. Hu apologize. Who is he? I've never seen him before. Could he be the illegitimate son of some big shot in the sea? Yu Long and the rest were stunned when they saw this scene. They were so scared that their souls almost left their bodies. Who was Zhang Huchen? He was Zhang Zhonggua's nephew. Although he wasn't one of the top young masters in Beijing, he was still a powerful figure. There were only a dozen or so top nobles in Beijing who could suppress him. But now, he was apologizing to this country bumpkin, and he even looked scared. Oh my God. We're doomed. We're doomed today. We've offended a big shot. Gu Jinhao and his female companion were so scared that their bodies were trembling like sieves. The way they looked at Jiang Tian had completely changed. They had thought that Chen Fan was a pushover, but they didn't expect him to be so powerful that even Mr. Hu had to give in. Chapter 539. Seeing this scene, Lu Yiting's pupils constricted as she looked at Jiang Tian, and her heart was filled with suspicion. Could it be that Jiang Tian had some connections in Yanjin? Zhang Huchen was an arrogant young master of Yanjin, and he valued his reputation the most. Asking him to bow his head was worse than killing him. If it wasn't for Jiang Tian having the ability to suppress him, how could he have lowered his head in front of so many people? You're fooling around with these scoundrels every day. Can't you grow up a little bit? Jiang Tian said faintly, if Zhang Jinghua was here, I wouldn't care about you. But now that fourth uncle is in charge, don't cause trouble for him. Otherwise, get the hell out of Huaxia. Go to Africa for a few days. Yes, I won't do it again. I will definitely teach them a lesson, reflect on my mistakes, and completely correct them. Zhang Huchen was so scared that he shivered and nodded like a chicken pecking rice. Let's go. Don't cry, I don't think you're smelly. Let's find a hotel for you to take a shower and change your clothes. Jiang Tian wasn't in the mood to show off in front of these ants. He pulled Jiang Wan'er's hand and stood up. After Lu Yiting paid the bill, the three of them left under everyone's eyes that were full of fear and reverence. When they came to Gu Jinhao, Jiang Weiner smiled coldly and said, do you think you're from the upper class? Do you think you're noble? Grand Aunt, ah. Gu Jinhao did not dare to offend her and knelt on the ground to beg for mercy. But Jiang Weiner, who was full of sarcasm, stomped on his calf, and with a crack, his calf was instantly fractured. Little devil. The female companion was so scared that her whole body trembled like a sieve. Seeing this scene, her eyes rolled back and she fainted. Huchen, do you have to be so humble when he's just a nouveau riche from another city? Look at how badly Brother Hao is beaten up. Long Yu was a little dissatisfied. Slap. What he got in response was a crisp slap. Zhang Huchen cursed angrily, damn it, I'm going to die because of you. Do you know who he is? How dare you act so rashly? Both of you, get out of Beijing right now. The group of people exploded in anger, scared silly by Zhang Huchen. Gu Jinhao's face was full of despair, and he was full of regret. A murder case caused by a Western meal. Beautiful as Heaven's headquarters and the largest physical store were not far from the pedestrian street of the royal prince's mansion. After arriving there, Jiang Weiner took a bath and changed into a new set of clothes. Lu Yiting then asked her subordinates to buy a full set of fruit products for her. Only then did the little girl stop crying and smile. Lu Yiting dragged Jiang Tian to the living room to drink tea. Jiang Tian smiled and said, you're making it look good. Compared to you, I'm not a small fry. Lu Yiting smiled and asked, Jiang Tian, you're related to the Zhang family? You didn't mention it when we were in college. You seem to be a relative, but why is Zhang Huchen so afraid of you? Well, Zhang Jinghua is my uncle, Zhang Zhonghua is my uncle, Jiang Tian smiled faintly and said, but we didn't have a good relationship before. As for why he's so afraid of me, maybe he's afraid of being punished by the Zhang family. Ha, Jiang Tian, do you think I'm a fool? Lu Yiting looked at Jiang Tian with interest and said, Zhang Huchen has been arrogant and domineering for a long time. If he was afraid of being punished by his family, he wouldn't have acted so recklessly. Jiang Tian, tell me, what's your trump card? In any case, you're a big boss with a company worth billions. Why are you still as curious as a baby? Are you curious about the rainbow cat and blue rabbit? Jiang Tian smiled helplessly and said, it's not good for you to know too many secrets. But don't worry, if you need any help in Beijing, just tell me. I've said that I'll keep you safe for the rest of your life. Okay, I won't ask any more. Lu Yiting felt a warm current in her heart and said emotionally, Jiang Tian, I don't know why you're so good to me. But, thank you. After drinking tea for a while, Lu Yiting asked again, Qing'er is also in Beijing, right? You two should have a good relationship. That's right. We're very happy. Jiang Tian sipped his tea and said with a satisfied smile. Husband and wife, together in the same boat. I'm so envious. Lu Yiting sighed from the bottom of her heart. She didn't know if she was envious of Qing'er or Jiang Tian. What's wrong? You don't get along well with your husband? Jiang Tian's face flashed with a hint of surprise. He knew that Lu Yiting was married, but he had never met her husband. Don't mention it. We divorced 2 years ago. Lu Yiting's eyes flashed with a hint of sadness and smiled. Let's not talk about these unhappy things. By the way, our classmates from Renda College are having a small social gathering in Yanjin. Why don't you come? Forget it. You know that I don't like crowds. Jiang Tian shook his head gently. Chen Longsheng is back in Yanjin. After Lu Yiting said this, Li Yunhong nodded. Jiang Tian's heart skipped a beat and he said, What? He's back. He's going to the gathering. If the Renda Academy was said to be a gold-plated third-rate school in the past, there were still 1 or 2 monsters in it. Lu Yiting was one and Chen Longsheng was the other. Chen Longsheng was Jiang Tian's roommate when they were in university. They got along well with Jiang Tian and he was very good at his studies. Furthermore, his interest wasn't in pharmacy, but economics. He could read the original English theses in his freshman year and was familiar with all kinds of data and academic terms. When he was in his 3rd year, he published a few important papers in the top economics journals. Several old professors in the School of Economics at Jinling University were shocked and often asked him questions in the name of eating and drinking tea. In his previous life, Chen Longsheng suddenly passed the IELTS exam the year Jiang Tian broke off his engagement and left Jinling to study at London Business School. Before Jiang Tian committed suicide, he was still pursuing his studies. However, this person was very low-key and his background was very mysterious. Jiang Tian only knew that he vaguely knew that he was from Yanjin and that his family was quite powerful. As for what he did, Jiang Tian didn't know. Yes. Lu Yiting nodded and said, I heard that he just graduated from London Business School and is now a researcher in the Policy Research Institute of the Government Affairs Council. That's good. Remember to call me when you have a class reunion. Jiang Tian looked at the time and got up to leave. When he returned to Yuhua Villa, Jiang Tian saw a guest that surprised him a little, Special Envoy Shen. Beside him was Chen Zifan and Shin Mange. There was also an old man in military uniform who was at the peak of transcendent state. Master Kong, you are finally back. Special Envoy Shen was wearing a woolen Chinese tunic suit. He stood up to greet Jiang Tian and warmly shook hands with him. Special Envoy Shen, I have been so busy these days that I haven't thanked you for your help. Please forgive me. Jiang Tian had a good impression of Special Envoy Shen. In Singapore, Special Envoy Shen had helped him suppress the Yichida family. Some time ago, he was able to obtain Yuhua Villa and the Bai family's worldly assets without Special Envoy Shen's help. As long as you are comfortable living here. The chief said that you are a national treasure. You deserve to have Yuhua Villa in your hands. Special Envoy Shen laughed and pointed at the old man with his right hand. Allow me to introduce you, this is Yuan Lei, the leader of the Red Wall Internal Guards. Yuan Lei respectfully cupped his fists and bowed. His expression was slightly stern as he said, Greetings, Master Kong. I am Yuan Lei. I've long heard of Grandmaster Zhang's great name. Now that I've met you today, you're indeed handsome and have an extraordinary bearing. He was in his 60s and was the leader of the internal guards of the Red Wall Internal Guards. As a favorite of the chief, he was highly valued by the chief. His status was even higher than Special Envoy Shen's. However, in terms of martial arts, strength and reputation were the most important things. Compared to Jiang Tian, there was still a big gap between him and Jiang Tian. Don't mention it, old man Yuan. Jiang Tian looked at him from head to toe and said calmly, Mr. Yuan, you don't seem to be in good health. Master Kong, you are indeed a master of both martial arts and medicine. You have sharp eyes and amazing talents. Yuan Lei was overjoyed. He bowed again and said, to be honest, 30 years ago, when this old man was traveling the Jianghu, he was injured by an enemy. Since then, I have been suffering from old wounds. But when there is a full moon, especially at midnight, you will feel cold all over and have a bloodthirsty urge. Jiang Tian knew that he was being vague and was testing him, so he smiled faintly and said word by word, "You were injured by the blood breeds. Master Kong, please save me. You have killed the blood breeds before. You must have a way to cure me, right?" Hearing this, Yuan Lei was extremely shocked. Jiang Tian's words hit the nail on the head. Yuan Lei was full of expectations. Jiang Tian should have a way to cure him. "Please rise, Leader Yuan." Jiang Tian helped him up, took out a bottle of pills, and said, "This is a blood-dissolving qi-fusing pill. It can refine thousands of different types of qi. Consume it and circulate your cultivation technique to refine it. You should be fully recovered within an hour. It can be cured. It can really be cured. Thank you, Master Kong, for giving me this pill." Yuan Lei's face was filled with ecstasy. He immediately took the bottle and was led to a guest room by Shen Mange, swallowing and refining it. "Come, Special Envoy Shen, have a seat." Jiang Tian asked Special Envoy Shen and Shen Mange to sit in the living room. They chatted while drinking tea. Special Envoy Shen took a sip of tea and said with a smile, "Hee, please forgive me, Grandmaster Jiang. I was being rude. We have worked together for more than 20 years, and our relationship is pretty good. I can't bear to see old Yuan in pain. Don't worry about it. It's just a small matter." Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Special Envoy Shen's face turned solemn as he said, "Grandmaster Jiang, the Bai family has been defeated by you. The higher-ups can turn a blind eye to a fight between martial artists. However, Han Juansai's death has caused quite a stir in Yanjin. To tell you the truth, the political and business families in the secular world are not peaceful." "Not peaceful?" Jiang Tian smiled faintly. "Yes. The Bai family and the other 6 major martial arts families in Yanjin still abided by the martial arts convention. They didn't dare to suppress the political and business families." Special Envoy Shen shook his head helplessly. "Now that you've killed Han Junkai, there are rumors going around that the adjudicator's appearance was Elder Chao's doing. Both Chao Shixiang and the chief are under a lot of pressure. Yanjin is the most virtuous city in the world. You should restrain yourself and not make things difficult for the chiefs." Chapter 540. Jiang Tian smiled. "Han Junkai tried to kill me with a gun, and I didn't leave any evidence behind when I killed him. That's reasonable, isn't it?" "Yes, that's a good thing, and the Han family has no intention of pursuing the matter." Special Envoy Shen nodded with a smile. "It's just that the Lu family and the Song family have a bigger reaction. They are the first and third ranked families. Other than that, there are a few other families in the top 10 who have expressed their objections. Each of them controls several industries that are related to the economic lifeline of Huaxia. They can shake Huaxia with a stomp of their feet. Now that the Lu family and the Song family have a marriage alliance, their power has increased. Master Kong, it's best that you don't provoke them." Hold on. Jiang Tian waved his hand. "Special Envoy Shen, you're a favorite of the chief. Isn't the Shen family in the top 5 families? Master Kong, you think too highly of me." Special Envoy Shen smiled awkwardly. "To put it bluntly, I'm just a high-ranking secretary. The Shen family is only in the top 20. As for the top 5, that's out of my reach. If I'm in the top 5, will I still be in this position? Then I'll be a regional governor." Beside him, Qin Zifen smiled. "Master Kong, the 3rd-ranked Xia family and the 4th-ranked Gu family have contacted me before, wanting to meet Master Kong and preparing to hold the adjudicator ceremony, but you rejected them. The Han family offended Master Kong because they didn't know Master Kang's true colors. It's just a misunderstanding. However, the Song family and the Lu family have never shown any respect to Master Kong. Also, I learned that Yi Cheetah's grandson, Yi Haochen, who offended you in Singapore, has been in and out of the Lu family and the Song family recently, contacting many rich people and high-ranking officials, including the richest man, Su Tianyun. I suspect that they are plotting something, Su Tianyun. He hasn't fallen yet? Jiang Tian asked with a frown. It seems that the Lu family and the Song family are protecting him, so it's inconvenient for Qin Zhong to attack him. Chen Zifan said hesitantly. Towards Yi Haochen and Su Tianyun, Jiang Tian did not put them in his heart. They were just a bunch of ants, wanting to contend against him. They were simply blockheads. The Song family, is it the family that Song Shuangyan belongs to? Jiang Tian asked with a faint smile. You know Song Shuangyan? Special Envoy Shen was slightly surprised. Back then, Song Shuangyan was engaged to Master Kong. It should be said that she cheated Master Kong of some cultivation materials. Shen Mange had heard about it and explained in a low voice. The Xia clan, the Gu clan, and the Han clan have already made their stand. Do the Song clan and the Lu clan still have some backing that they can stand against me? Jiang Tian sighed and said meaningfully, it seems that I should pay a visit to the Song clan's patriarch in person. Special Envoy Shen was suddenly shocked. After pondering for a long time, he finally said with difficulty, Master Kong, I can mediate, but it's better not to do it. Special Envoy Shen, I'm afraid that your mediation is useless. I'll handle this matter myself. Jiang Tian said lightly. What the Song clan wanted was the incomplete map of the ruins of immortality. Not to mention Special Envoy Shen's mediation, the Song clan would not obediently hand it over even if the God of Heaven appeared. If he went, he would alert the enemy and let them be prepared. Since you said so, I won't force you. However, Master Kong, you'd better restrain yourself. You have to be reasonable. Special Envoy Shen said helplessly with a wry smile. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Jiang Tian said lightly. Good, good, good. Master Kong, let me toast you with tea instead of wine. Special Envoy Shen's face was full of joy as he held the cup. The two of them had just taken a sip of tea. Yuan Lei walked out excitedly and said happily, I'm fine. I'm fine. Yuan Tuan, it can't be that fast, right? Do you want to check again? One of his disciples asked with a frown. No, there's no need. I know that I'm definitely fine. There's no need to check at all. Yuan Lei waved his hand and said excitedly, Grandmaster Zhang's medicinal pellet has already refined that ball of yin qi and even strengthened my cultivation. As he said that, he knelt down in front of Jiang Tian and said, Thank you, Master Kong, for saving my life. This is like giving me a new life. If it weren't for you, I might have become a monster that's neither human nor ghost. Brother Yuan, there's no need to be so courteous. Jiang Tian helped him up and said with a smile, You were injured for the country. As your brother, I admire you very much. How can I just stand by and watch? Master Kong, if anyone dares to offend you in Yanjing, just look for me. After all, you can't reveal your identity casually. I still have some power in Yanjing. Yuan Lei was both impressed and impressed by Jiang Tian. He patted his chest and said passionately. If Jiang Tian's monstrous power of killing 11 gods and destroying the Bai family was enough to make him fearful. But now, Jiang Tian's medical skills that could bring the dead back to life made him even more reliant on him. Martial artists like to make friends with miracle doctors the most. Looking at his generosity, Jiang Tian also liked it very much. He nodded and said with a smile, All right, then I'll have to trouble you more in the future. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. Yuan Lei held Jiang Tian's big hand tightly. He had already regarded Jiang Tian as a friend. Jiang Tian gave him a few more pills to stabilize the effect. Yuan Lei then left with Special Envoy Shen and the rest gratefully. The next afternoon, Jiang Tian was meditating and cultivating when he suddenly received a call from Lu Yiting. Jiang Tian, there's a class reunion tonight. Your roommate, Chen Longsheng, will also be there. Do you have time to attend? Yeah, I'll be there. Jiang Tian nodded. He still missed this roommate of his. Jiang Tian, my shop has just opened. Although you came yesterday, it wasn't open yet. Why don't you come over and give me some guidance? Lu Yiting invited. I don't know how to do business. What's there to look at? Jiang Tian smiled. But you know how to make medicine. Although you gave me the prescription, I made the process myself. If I don't do it well, won't I ruin your reputation? Lu Yiting spared no effort in inviting him. Alright, I'll go take a look. Jiang Tian couldn't refuse. Since Zhang Yilin was playing in the villa, Jiang Tian asked her to drive him to the main store of Beautiful Heaven. Jun Wang Fu Road Pedestrian Street, Beautiful Heaven Product Experience Store. The store wasn't small. It had 3 floors and was decorated magnificently. The soft interior walls were wrapped in African mahogany with exquisite carvings. Palace lanterns hung from the ceiling. It was full of classical atmosphere. The floor was covered with imitation Persian carpet. It was divided into the beauty area, the body area, and the yoga studio. The highlight was the exhibition area. Jiang Tian walked in and saw a basket of flowers at the door. It should have just opened. However, there were a lot of customers. They were all driving BMWs and Mercedes-Benz. They were dressed luxuriously and had exquisite makeup. It was obvious that they were either rich or noble ladies. What do you think of it? Since Jiang Tian came, Lu Yiting naturally received him personally. She took out the product and showed it to Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian unscrewed the bottle cap and sniffed it gently. He said lightly, increase the amount of roseroot by 20%. What are you waiting for? Have you memorized it? Lu Yiting glanced at her female assistant, who was dumbfounded. The female assistant hurriedly noted it down and looked at Jiang Tian inquisitively with her sparkling eyes. Director Lu, this Mr. Jiang is so amazing. He can improve the prescription with just a sniff. Other professors and researchers couldn't improve it even after years of research. How can those professors and experts be compared to divine physician Jiang? Lu Yiting glared at her and smiled. Mr. Jiang is the young master of the Medicine King Corporation. He's the one who defeated TKM's Pu Jingtai in July and stopped TKM's application. Oh my god. He's actually divine physician Jiang. I'm your loyal fan. Can you give me an autograph? The female assistant's eyes widened in admiration. Not only was his medical skills amazing, he was also so handsome and rich. He was simply the perfect idol. Why do I need an autograph? I'm not a celebrity. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and gave a few more details of improvement. Finally, Jiang Tian wrote a prescription for Lu Yiting to replenish her qi and blood, hair growth, and hair care, forming a series of products. TSK, TSK. Jiang Tian, you're amazing. I remember that you were quite bad at your studies in university. Suddenly, a burst of laughter came from the crowd. A girl walked over with a Louis Vuitton handbag. The girl was dressed in a neutral outfit with short hair like a boy. There were a few strands of hair in the middle that were dyed wine red. She looked very much like the popular Brother Chun of 2009 and 2010. She opened her flat and bony chest and hugged Jiang Tian passionately. Jean Gige, spare me. Jiang Tian, who had killed many people and even the origin of the Japanese sword god Palace, could only take a few steps back and wave his hand awkwardly when he saw his old classmate. Gige. Don't be like this. Lu Yiting pouted. What's wrong? You can't bear to part with him? You liked Jiang Tian when you were in university. Now that you're divorced, aren't you going to hook up with him? Jean Gige gossiped. How am I reluctant? Lu Yiting's pretty face blushed, and her beautiful eyes glanced at Jiang Tian with a flirtatious look. If you're not willing, then I won't hold back. Jean Gige pinched Jiang Tian's face valiantly and said with a grin, little guy, you're getting more and more handsome. You're not greasy at all. Be careful that I don't go berserk one day and take your head. The assistant and a few other employees around couldn't help but chuckle after a short silence. It's too late. I'm already married. Jiang Tian rubbed his nose helplessly. Jean Gage was indeed the big sister of Yan Jing No. 4 High School. She was tough and straightforward. Jean Gage's name was Jean Lingtian. The Manchu's surname represented another well-known surname, Aizenjoro. The surname was Aizenjoro Lingtian. In the 300 years of history of the Manchu dynasty, Nurhasai's descendants wore yellow belts. Bright yellow was the color of the emperor, while the royal family wore golden yellow. That was how the surname came about. Back then, Jean Gage was a domineering figure in Yanjing. When her father was transferred to Jinling, he had no choice but to bring her along to apply for Jinling Pharmaceutical University. This girl loved extreme sports like racing, boxing, rock climbing, and parkour. She often followed Jiang Tian and Chen Longxing around like a boy. No one had ever treated her as a girl. Since you're a rare guest, I won't embarrass you this time. Didn't you drink a lot in university? Let's sit at the same table and drink until one of us dies. Jean Gage patted Jiang Tian's shoulder valiantly. She had a small nose, a small mouth, and big eyes. Then, her phone suddenly rang. A few of her university classmates who were developing in Beijing had arrived, helping Jiang Tian out of his predicament. Chapter 541. It's rush hour in Yanjin and the traffic is bad, so we have to leave some time for them to come to my shop. They heard that my new shop is opening and insisted on coming to have a look. Lu Yiting explained with a smile. Jiang Tian's class only had 50 or 60 students and there were less than 10 of them in Yanjin. Soon, everyone had gathered. Everyone greeted each other and talked about work, housing, and development over the years. The atmosphere was quite lively. Jiang Tian only wanted to see Chen Longsheng, and his relationship with his classmates was not that great. Thus, he sat in a corner and quietly drank tea. Chen Longsheng is here. A moment later, the crowd burst into an uproar and everyone rose to their feet. Chen Longsheng was dressed in a suit and leather shoes. He was wearing a black windbreaker and black leather shoes as he sauntered in. Longsheng, you're a great economist. Everyone complimented him, but there was a hint of mockery in their eyes. Don't tease me, I'm just a small researcher. Chen Longsheng scanned the crowd and looked for Jiang Tian. Longsheng. Jiang Tian walked over and found that Chen Longsheng's face was thin and his eyes were dull. His body was abnormally weak. He frowned when he scanned Chen Longsheng with his divine sense. Chen Longsheng hugged Jiang Tian tightly and punched Jiang Tian's shoulder. Jiang Tian, I haven't seen you for a few years. You're getting more and more energetic. Hee, I noticed that you don't seem to be in good spirits. Jiang Tian said with a smile. Chen Longsheng's smile froze. I've been staying up all night doing research. How can I be in good spirits? How are you? I heard that you went to Linzhou to develop your career. I'm not ambitious. I'm still the same old. I can't eat and I won't starve. Jiang Tian said with a smile. Good, as long as you're safe. Chen Longsheng's eyes flashed with a hint of disappointment as he yawned. Jiang Tian was amazed. Jiang Tian didn't know about him, but Chen Longsheng knew that he was the crown prince of the Medicine King group. If he was doing economic research, there was no way he wouldn't have paid attention to the Medicine King group. Not only did he take drugs, but he also lied to others. This job must be fake too. You brat, you're quite promising. At this time, Jean Gage came over and asked jokingly, Director Chen, you're in economic research, and you're also working in the research department of the Government Affairs Council. You must have a lot of insider information. I've lost a lot of money buying stocks, you have to save me. Chen Longsheng smiled stiffly. Finally, he stammered and said, I'm in the field of macroeconomic research. How would I know anything about stocks? That belongs to the microscopic domain. Let me tell you, now that Lu Yiting is divorced, she's a single noble with assets in the billions. As long as you give me the inside information, I'll pull the strings and make Lu Yiting marry you. Jean Gage laughed. Goo goo, don't joke around. How am I worthy of Yiting? Everyone burst into laughter. Chen Longsheng awkwardly smiled and waved his hand as a trace of sadness flashed in his eyes. At this moment, a voice sounded. If you want to get insider information, not only do you have to look at your position, but you also have to look at your connections. If you don't have a strong connection, there's a high chance that it's fake information. You'll help others raise the stock price while you fall into the trap as cannon fodder. In this world, especially in the capital market, there are a lot of under-the-table manipulations and unspoken rules. You have no power, no connections, no resources, no background. You can only wag your tail like a dog. The voice was harsh and sarcastic. A man wearing a matching coat with Lu Yiting's walked in with flowers in his hand. As he handed a bouquet of beautiful roses to Lu Yiting, he looked at Jiang Tian and Chen Longsheng, the two brothers who had fallen on hard times, with a disdainful look on his face. He did not hide his superiority at all. Jiang Tian naturally knew this person. It was Wang Jie. He used to be in the same dormitory as Jiang Tian and the others, but no one liked to talk to him. This guy seemed to be from Jin province. It was said that his family was in the mining industry and was quite rich. Renda College was originally a gold-plated school. There were many rich people, and the students were more or less foppish. But both Jiang Tian and Chen Longsheng hated this person. This guy was very smart. The first thing he did was to ask about his family's background. He liked to take advantage of the situation, flattering the strong and stepping on the weak. For those whose family background was better than his, he would fawn over them and flatter them incessantly. For those whose family background was worse than his, he would mock them every day and flaunt his superiority. Today, he bought a new computer. Tomorrow, he would talk about how he changed his car. In the face of that targeted mockery, Chen Longsheng's eyes dimmed. He dodged, looking a little flustered. Jiang Tian pulled him to sit beside Jean Gage. Look at this bastard's arrogant look. Let's drink and get him drunk later. Jean Gage said angrily. Jiang Tian shook his head gently. Since he returned, he had seen many ignorant second-generation heirs. Wouldn't it be tiring to step on them one by one? Why are you so scared? You weren't like this in university. Jean Gage glared at Jiang Tian and said, You don't know. Ever since Lu Yiting got divorced, he has been coming here every day. I can't chase him away. He's very cunning. He's after money. Lu Yiting is not an idiot. We're not his parents. Don't worry too much. Jiang Tian smiled. It could be seen that Lu Yiting was only being polite to Wang Jie. There was a sense of politeness in her bones that kept people 1,000 miles away. If Wang Jie wanted to chase Lu Yiting, he would have to wait until his next life. At this moment, another four-eyed guy walked over and smiled fawningly. Gage, it's about time. Let's go. What's the rush? Can't you see that we're having a good time? Jean Gage frowned impatiently. Yes, yes, yes. Talk more and relax. You're usually too busy. The four-eyed guy said fawningly, Your family's logistics company has opened in the northwestern provinces. If it continues to develop, you'll be on the Forbes list in the future. You must take care of your body. This guy was not in Jiang Tian's class. Judging from his accent, he was a Yanjing local. He should be Jean Gage's suitor. The company is not my family's. Several companies have shares in it. Jean Gage was too lazy to pay attention to this suitor. If he had not helped her book the restaurant, she would not have bothered to pay attention to him. She smiled coldly and said, Besides, it's not necessarily a good thing to be on the Forbes list. As the saying goes, a tall tree attracts the wind. Don't you know that Mogul Wang was defeated a while ago? Further away, there's Mogul Huang, who owns a chain of electrical appliances. That's called killing the Forbes list. The four-eyed guy nodded in agreement and said, Gage, you're right. However, I think that doing business is quite good. Unlike my dad, who is a director. It sounds nice, but he doesn't have much power. In our Sijo city, he can throw a brick and knock down 3 or 4 directors. But I'm also very busy. I have to accompany the director on a business trip today and the mayor for research tomorrow. Not only do I have to suffer hardships, but I also have to be careful. My mom and I don't even dare to drive a good car. We're afraid that people will gossip. The four-eyed guy complained with pride and a sense of superiority. Jean Gage rolled her eyes. She wanted to discourage him. Wang Jia, who was talking to Lu Yiting, suddenly had his eyes lit up. He asked, "Bro, which department does your father work in?" "The Deputy Director of the General Office of the Ministry of Land and Mineral Resources. I work in the Jinan Group." The four-eyed guy smiled and said, "My dad has several large coal mines in Jin Province and Beha Province. Let's get to know each other. My dad works for Huiba, Boss Hu." Wang Jia was not a good-for-nothing who only knew how to show off. He was influenced by his father's teachings and knew how to build a network. "I'm familiar with Boss Hu. We even had a drink together some time ago. Boss Hu is quite capable. He's very close to the Han family now. Since you work for Boss Hu, you have a bright future. Actually, the Jinan Group is controlled by the Han family. We're in the same camp." The four-eyed guy smiled reservedly. They exchanged business cards, smoked cigarettes, and talked arrogantly. They began to be arrogant even before they sat at the table to drink. Their topics became more and more profound, from secrets to the macro control of the international situation. Their arrogance almost broke through the roof. At this time, Wang Jia stole a glance at Jiang Tian and Chen Longsheng in the corner. His eyes became more and more disdainful. A drug addict who was expelled by his family and a little rich second generation who was waiting for death. How dare he compete with me for Lu Yiting? He really doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. The reality was like this. The circle of people was slowly divided, and the gap between them widened. Finally, there was an insurmountable gap between the lowly and the noble. Not to mention waiting for another 10 years, even now, you can't cross this gap in reality. Jean Gage was so angry that her teeth itched. 2 flies came to this party, and she couldn't even drink happily. She looked at the time on her watch and said, "Let's go. It's almost time." "Jiang Tian, did you drive here?" "Take my car." Wang Jia took out his car key and pressed it. The lights of a Porsche Cayenne outside the door turned on. "Take what car?" "The restaurant is just across the street." "Are you afraid that other people don't know that you have a good car?" Jean Gage directly confronted him, causing Wang Jia to smile awkwardly. "Sister Ting, you have to take a look. Those people are here again. And they have been here for an hour." When everyone was about to get up and leave, Lu Yiting's female assistant hurriedly ran over and pointed at the door. Everyone was shocked to see 8 uninvited guests lying on 8 electric massage beds on both sides of the door. In the shop full of female customers, they were particularly eye-catching. The 8 men were all bald, with hideous tattoos on their necks and wrists. Their faces were fierce-looking and ferocious. Anyone with a bit of insight would be able to tell that they were Jianghu ruffians. When female customers passed by, they would tease them and take photos with their phones, which made them frown. "Go and ask them. They can't always be like this." Lu Yiting sighed and frowned. "Gentlemen, are you here for beauty treatment?" The assistant approached them and bowed politely. "Yes, men have to be handsome now. They can't be too greasy." A burly man smiled lazily. "If you want beauty treatment, then please order a set meal and a technician. You have been here for a long time." The assistant had a pair of big watery eyes. When she smiled, her eyes curved into a beautiful crescent moon shape. "Fuck. What is the meaning of this? Are you trying to drive us away? Does your boss know the rules?" One of the fat, bald men suddenly shouted angrily. He raised the ashtray, and the cigarette ash flew everywhere. The assistant was covered in dust and retreated in panic. When the surrounding female customers saw this, they frowned and looked unhappy. A few of them got up and went to the front desk to pay and leave. Ask your boss to come out and talk to me. You have no right to talk to me. The bald man looked at the assistant coldly, lit another cigarette, and blew smoke. The assistant was so scared that she was about to cry. She stood there in a dilemma. Chapter 542. What's going on? Jiang Tian asked. Lu Yiting looked at Jiang Tian and frowned. This isn't the first time this has happened. There are people coming to the 8 stores in Yanjin every day. Li Yanmei's Qingcheng International wanted to buy the shares of Meirua Heaven, but I rejected her offer. I suspect it has something to do with them. Lu Yiting and Jiang Tian said that there was a reason. Jiang Tian was related to the Zhang family and Zhang Zhongguo was in charge of politics. Therefore, it was easy for Jiang Tian to call the police. In fact, Jiang Tian didn't want to leave them alone. After all, Lu Yiting had helped Jiang Tian a lot in his past life and Jiang Tian wasn't an ungrateful person. But then, Wang Jie smirked and said, Yiting, what's the point of talking to him? He's not from Yanjin. Let me do it. After all, I've been in Yanjin for a few years. Can't I handle this? Please leave. He immediately stepped forward to negotiate. He scowled coldly and held his head up high. Who are you? The bald man rolled his eyes and sneered. Wang Jie took out a name card from his bag and threw it at the bald man's face. Wang Jie from Jinyuan Mining. Go and ask around. My boss is Hui Ba. My dad is Director Peng of the Ministry of Land and Resources. Peng Zhenxin also stepped forward and sneered. He wanted to use his dad's status to intimidate the bald man. Don't think that I can't stop you. Enough is enough. Jean Gage also stepped forward to negotiate. A dozen or so students stepped forward, waving flags and shouting as they tried to reason with them. Maybe it was because the bald man was afraid of Wang Jie and Peng Zhenxin's background, but there was nothing he could do. When the bald man saw Jiang Tian standing at the back of the crowd, his heart skipped a beat. What a murderous aura. What a cold look. Based on his many years of experience in the Jianghu, he could tell that this man, who didn't seem to be much, was definitely a ruthless person. Let's go. The bald man in the lead glared at Wang Jie, then called out to his companions and strode away. Jean Gage stuck out her arm and gave them a disdainful middle finger. The students behind him immediately booed. Wang Jie and Peng Zhenxin were even more complacent, and their tone was disdainful as they commented on this group of punks, showing off their victory. From Jiang Tian's point of view, this was just the beginning of a storm. The best part was yet to come. He looked at Lu Yiting and said indifferently, Yiting, you'd better find out who's behind this. I'll help you deal with them. Otherwise, they'll keep pestering you. Wang Jie smiled disdainfully and said, Jiang Tian, you worry too much. They'll be scared to death if they know Zhenxin's and my identity. They're just a bunch of trashy people trying to take advantage of us. Wang Jie, who are they? A classmate asked. To put it bluntly, they're gangsters. Wang Jie smiled. He ignored everyone's shocked gaze as if everyone in the country knew that there were gangsters in Yanjin. There are still gangsters in Beijing. Now, we're digging 3 feet into the ground to fight against gangsters. Why is there still one in Beijing? A classmate asked weakly. Wang Jie smiled and said, 2 years ago, there were hundreds of people fighting at the Western Station. Last year, there was a fight for the hospital's number. Swords and guns were dancing, blood and tears were flying everywhere. In the end, nothing was settled. There was an invisible mastermind behind all of this. The taxi drivers in Yanjin know best which group of people each station belongs to. Every time they pick up a passenger, the driver has to pay 10 yuan. There are also disabled children and dirty old people begging on the streets and subways. Most of them are controlled by organizations. When foreign guests pass by or are inspected by the leaders, most of the people in the police station will greet them. If this isn't gangsters, then what is? He spoke eloquently and with conviction, his words sharp. And it's only the insignificant side, the lowest side. The higher end of the underground world is related to the Han family and a few other top families. Peng Zhenxin pushed up his black-rimmed glasses and said, "You don't understand. The inside story is not for outsiders to know. Young Master Wang is really different now. He has a lot of connections and knows all kinds of forces. Yeah, look at how powerful young Master Wang was. He just threw his name card and those people were scared away. That's right. If you ask me, gangsters can't be compared to the rich and powerful. After all, it's a side business and can't be seen in public." The students were shocked by the two of them, and they flattered Wang Jia and Peng Zhenxin. "Jiang Tian, weren't you quite fierce when you were in university? Have your edges been ground away by reality? And Qin Longsheng, you said that you work in the sea. Don't you know a few big shots? You're just watching from the sidelines. Do you think that these small fries are not worth your time? Are you a man or not? Just now, a few of us girls went up to negotiate. One of you stood at the back and the other ran to the bathroom to hide." Compared to Wang Jia and Peng Zhenxin, who had power and dared to come forward to solve the problem, the few female students were a little disgusted with Jiang Tian and Qin Longsheng. Although these words seemed to be joking, the dissatisfaction and contempt in their bones couldn't be hidden. Okay, stop talking. Jiang Tian is mature, steady, and low-key. Let's go eat quickly. Lu Yiting quickly helped Jiang Tian out of the situation. Jiang Tian was related to the Zhang family and scared Zhang Huqin to kneel and beg for mercy. It was easy to deal with these small fries. He was too lazy to do it and wanted to solve the problem in one go. Everyone walked out of beautiful heaven and walked toward the street. Suddenly, dozens of Lexus and a few Maserati sports cars rushed into the pedestrian street of the royal prince's mansion with an arrogant aura. The car door opened and slammed, a series of muffled bangs were amazing. A group of tough men in black suits got out of the car one after another and joined with the big and round men on both sides of the street. They rushed toward beautiful heaven. The people who got out of the car and the people on the street were more than 200 people. Even if they were empty-handed, the pedestrians who were afraid of trouble still avoided them like frightened birds and hid far away. The vast and mighty crowd surged in like a tidal wave. It was as beautiful as heaven itself. The students were dumbfounded. Lu Yiting and Jean Gige were also dumbfounded. Wang Jia and Peng Zhenxin looked at each other and saw the shock on each other's faces. "You guys stay here, I'll go take a look." Lu Yiting came back to her senses and hurriedly ran toward beautiful heaven. She was stunned when she entered the door. The men who had just entered did not smash, curse, or beat anyone. They were scattered in groups of 3 to 5 in the foyer, the hall, and the staircase. Their valiant figures were everywhere in conspicuous places, crowding the 3 floors of the building so tightly that not even a drop of water could trickle through. They unscrupulously puffed out smoke, talked and laughed loudly, and spat everywhere. Most of the customers who came to spend money were scared when they saw this scene and retreated in fear. The waiters, managers of the various departments, and store owners were so shocked that their faces turned pale, but they were helpless. They did not have the guts to chase people away. They called the police, but they did not do anything. They only said that they were waiting for someone. What could the police do? The people from beautiful Heaven International are too cruel. Seeing this, Lu Yiting's face turned pale and cold sweat broke out. Her head buzzed and she almost fell down. Jean Gige, who followed closely behind, was worthy of the tigress title that had accompanied her for more than 10 years. She looked at the leaders and righteously warned them. She introduced herself and said that the Jean family was not to be trifled with. If things got out of hand, no one would have a good time. However, Jean Gige's domineering aura only elicited a few sarcastic laughs with strong disdain. How could a little girl in her 20s control these people who were used to being cruel? If a little girl could scare them, they would have been drowned in the bottomless muddy water of Suzhou City. How could they survive? Jean Gij's domineering aura was defeated. She looked around at the men who were laughing coldly and saying nothing and was at a loss. The leader of the group was not one of the three bald men from before. This person was thin and had a long and narrow donkey face. His facial paralysis made him neither happy nor angry, and his appearance was average. However, when he sat there, he emitted a gloomy aura of the living dead, which made people's hair stand on end. From Jean Gij's perspective, this guy was like the eunuch from the East Factory who had unfathomable kung fu in the movies. Wei San was nicknamed Eunuch Wei. The famous gangsters in Suzhou City called him San Air, while the underlings called him Eunuch Wei behind his back. In short, his name was like his person, emitting a strong gloomy aura. However, the number of experienced gangsters in Yanjing who were qualified to call him San Air was less than 2. More people had to call him Third Brother when they saw him. This guy had a mysterious background. He was also a representative of the district, a member of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, an outstanding entrepreneur, and could drink and chat merrily with the district head and secretary. You're a child of the Jean family, right? A descendant of the royal family. You do have style. Wei San smoked the cigarette in his mouth and said calmly, I've never heard of your father. I've never heard of you before, but I know your dad. Call him and see if he'll let you interfere in this matter. We have our rules, and the rules can't be broken here in beautiful heaven. At this moment, the students had all rushed over. When Peng Zhenxin saw them, he trembled and hesitated whether he should run away as soon as possible. You're not a law enforcement agency. What rules do you have? Why should we listen to your rules? Jean Gij said righteously and gave tit for tat. Bang! Wei San slammed the teacup in his hand on the table, scaring the group of beautiful heavens executives. However, Jean Gij was still glaring at Wei San. Wei San's henchman, De Ben, laughed sinisterly and said, Hey, this little girl has a fierce temper. I like it. I haven't ridden a fierce horse in a long time. Hee hee. Chapter 543. Fuck you. Jean Gij was so angry that her entire body was trembling, and her beautiful face was flushed red. She raised her hand to slap the other party, but she was pulled back by the trembling Peng Zhenxin. Gij, we can't afford to offend these people. Let go of me. Let go of me. Jean Gij was so angry that she struggled with all her might. Peng Zhenxin pulled her behind him, took a step forward, and said with a smile, Third Master, give me some face and don't make things difficult for our small business. My father is Director Peng of the Ministry of Land and Resources. Get out of here. Why are you, a little brat, getting involved in a discussion between adults? Wei San scolded sarcastically. Peng Zhenxin's face stiffened but he didn't dare to say anything. He stood there with a frown on his face. Wang Jie took a deep breath and mustered up his courage. He stepped forward with trepidation, nodding and bowing. He bowed and said, Master Wei, Boss Hu of Xining Mining is my uncle. Can you take them away for Boss Hu's sake? Boss Lu and I will come to talk to you another day. Which Boss Hu? Wei San frowned. Hui Ba. Bullshit. Him. He doesn't even dare to say a word in front of me. Wei San smiled disdainfully and spat on the ground. He sneered. I thought you were a big shot. Hui Ba is only worth a few billion. He's just a coal miner in Jin province. He hasn't even cleaned his face yet and he's already here in Yanjing. While cursing, he took out his nouveau riche golden phone and dialed a number. After saying a few words casually, he handed the phone to Wang Jie and said arrogantly, Answer it, it's your uncle. Wang Jie had just put the phone to his ear when he heard Huiba's angry voice. Get out of here. Why are you, a mortal, getting involved in a fight between gods? Wei San is Lu Liwei's man. Get out of here if you don't want to die. Uncle, Wang Jie was so scared that his forehead was sweating. He wanted to say something but Huiba had already hung up the phone. We're not here to make trouble. We just want to talk business with Boss Lu. Why are you so angry? Let's go and have a beer to cool down. The lackey dashed to Jean Gidge's side and pulled her snow-white arm, obviously wanting to take advantage of her. Jean Gidge, who had learned Taekwondo for 3 years, reacted quickly and mercilessly. She pulled and flung, tripping him with her feet. She did not seem like a girl at all. De Benz had never thought that a little girl would play this trick, and it really became De Benz. Whoosh! He jumped out and miserably drilled under the massage bed 2 meters away. His head hit one of the bed legs and blood immediately gushed out. Great run! A group of people exclaimed, and the audience was in an uproar. Although De Ben was wretched and lecherous, he was Wei San's brother-in-law. Although his sister was not Wei San's legal wife, she was the most favored mistress. You're courting death. Wei San was stunned at first, then his face turned angry. The 2-meter-tall muscular man behind him suddenly stood up and approached Jean Gidge, raising his hand to slap her in the face. According to Taekwondo, Jean Gidge originally had at least 10 ways to deal with this kind of move that was not considered a move. However, she felt a sense of powerlessness when the powerful slap came at her. Gidge, I already told you to stay out of this. Seeing this, the 4-eyed man Peng Jinshin helplessly stopped and took out his phone to call the emergency number. Wang Jia could only sigh helplessly, knowing that things had gotten out of hand, and his heart was filled with sorrow. The most frightening thing about Wei San and his gang was not their fighters, but their connections. They were Lu Liwei's men. In front of this kind of real power and influence, the millionaires with a net worth of hundreds of millions and billions were like chickens and dogs that couldn't withstand a single blow. Gidge! Lu Yiting and the other girls also exclaimed and turned their heads away in fear, not daring to look. Bang! There was a muffled sound, followed by the sound of tables and chairs rolling and windows breaking. The girls who turned their heads away did not think it was the sound of a slap. When they turned their heads, they saw that Jean Gidge was safe and sound, while the bear-like man had crashed through the floor-to-ceiling glass window and fallen on the street, motionless. The entire hall on the first floor of Heavenly Beauty was suddenly dead silent. The gangsters who had been smoking and drinking without restraint stood up slowly, while the ones who were smoking threw away their cigarette butts and stared in the same direction and the same person as if they were facing a formidable enemy. Jean Gidge also looked at Jiang Tian in surprise. Damn, when did you become so good at fighting? Although this group of people who had been living in Sijou City did not know who Jiang Tian was, they could tell that this guy was definitely a tough nut to crack. He could kick someone more than 10 meters away. If he was in the underground boxing market, he would be almost invincible. Wei San stared at Jiang Tian and was speechless for a long time. He stood up involuntarily. On the one hand, he was shocked by Jiang Tian's nimble fighting skills, but more importantly, he was intimidated by Jiang Tian's overwhelming dominance. This young man was quite handsome, but his eyes were indifferent, domineering, and ruthless, as if he was a peerless demon who had walked out of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. If you leave now and don't come here in the future, I won't argue with you. We can't be considered friends, but we can't be considered enemies either, all right? Jiang Tian said in an indifferent tone. Damn, you want me to leave? You want to argue with me? Hearing this, Wei San was furious. He pointed at Jiang Tian's nose arrogantly and shouted, Do you know who I am? I am Lu Liwei's man. Lu Liwei. This is troublesome. Yiting, how did you offend Lu Liwei? Jean Gidge, who had always been arrogant and domineering, was shocked and her face turned pale. Lu Yiting frowned and shook her head gently. Obviously, she did not know Lu Liwei at all. Who is Lu Liwei? A group of students frowned and looked at each other. They all saw the confusion on each other's faces. Between people, there was an invisible barrier, a chasm between classes. Lu Liwei was a notorious name in Yan Jin's upper-class society, but it was unfamiliar to them. So, Lu Liwei is the one behind Wei San. Peng Jinshin was terrified. His face was pale and his legs were cramping. He looked at Wang Jie. He finally understood why Wei San was so arrogant and why he was able to dominate a few districts in Yanjin for more than a decade. He also finally understood why Huiba asked Wang Jie to get out of here and mind his own business. Lu Liwei. He was Lu Lishuan's brother, the young master of the Lu family, the most spoiled brat in Yanjin. He had billions of assets and shares in the heavenly earth and the emperor's palace. Not to mention him, even Zhang Huqin, Han Junkai, and the other young masters paled in comparison. He tugged at Jean Gige and lowered his voice, but it was unprecedentedly serious. Gige, don't get involved in this mess. Your classmates offended Lu Liwei and none of them will live. No one in Sizhou City dares to offend him. Wang Jie looked at Lu Yiting helplessly and said, I think you should ask Jiang Tian to apologize. Otherwise, young Master Lu will be more difficult to deal with than Wei San. Why should we apologize? They disrupted our business and that guy even took advantage of us. Is it wrong for Jiang Tian to hit that pervert? Lu Yiting pondered and didn't say anything. Jean Gige snorted and scolded. Wang Jie ignored her and shook his head. A glint of disdain flashed in his eyes. Why? Just because the other party is richer than you, just because the other party has more power than you, just because the other party has more money than you, just because you ants, what can you use to arm wrestle with the other party? Jiang Tian was dazed and burst into laughter. He asked in disbelief, you are Lu Liwei's underling? What a coincidence. Of course. You have also heard of young Master Lu. Wei San thought Jiang Tian was scared. He sneered and said, boy, are you scared? Do you think you can do whatever you want in Sizhou City just because you can fight? There are many more masters in Sizhou City who are better than you. Ask him to come here. I am looking for him. Jiang Tian said coldly. A sharp glint flashed in his eyes. You want to meet young Master Lu? Who do you think you are? Wei San sneered. Do you think Lu Liwei will come out if I break your legs? Jiang Tian suddenly laughed. What did you say? Wei San was stunned and took a step back subconsciously. However, Jiang Tian had already made his move. Two crisp cracking sounds were heard. Wei San, who had been domineering in Sizhou City for many years, was lying on the ground like a dead dog. His legs were bent into a weird angle and were bleeding. His white bones were exposed. They were fractured. Ouch! Wei San screamed and rolled on the ground, holding his legs. Blood spurted out and left streaks of bright red on the ground. Damn, how dare you hit our boss! Let's attack him together. Kill him. A group of hooligans was enraged and rushed toward Jiang Tian. However, they were no match for Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian sent one of them flying with a slap. 3 minutes later, there were dozens of them lying on the ground. What a tough guy. His combat power is too scary. Ask young Master Lu to come here. Even third master was hurt. The rest of the hooligans were scared out of their wits. They ran out and called for backup. Jiang Tian, you are in trouble. Lu Liwei has money, people, and background. How can you beat up his people? Yiting, hurry up and apologize to Wei San. Call an ambulance. Wang Jie was so scared that his legs were shaking. He was so anxious that he beat his chest and stamped his feet. He felt that Jiang Tian had pushed Lu Yiting into a fire pit. Jiang Tian turned around and looked at Lu Yiting calmly. He smiled gently and said, Yiting, you are my friend. From now on, everything you do is right. You don't need to apologize to anyone. Because my fists are the biggest. As he spoke, he showed his white fists. Chapter 544. Seeing this, Lu Yiting laughed through her tears. She punched Jiang Tian and said, You're still joking. You scared me to death. Seeing that Jiang Tian was stubborn, Lu Yiting continued to flirt with him. Wang Jie secretly scolded her for acting recklessly. He sneered at Lu Yiting. Yiting, do you think this is like when we were in school? Whoever can fight will be the best. Jiang Tian is harming you. It looks like he's helping you, but in fact, he's putting you in an irrecoverable position. Lu Yiting's face turned cold. If you want to watch the show, then stay here. If you don't want to watch the show, then don't make sarcastic remarks. Hurry up and leave. Her words sent Wang Jie flying 1,000 miles away. Wang Jie's face turned red. He stammered, I'm doing this for your own good. At this time, Wei San's phone rang. He endured the pain and picked up the call. He roared at Jiang Tian. Kid, just you wait. Chaoyang branch will be here in 3 minutes. You'll die. Okay, I'll wait for him. Jiang Tian was calm and composed. He called Zhang Yilin and Yuan Lei from the Red Wall Internal Guards Regiment. At this time, a few police cars arrived with their sirens blaring. 5 policemen walked in with a few auxiliary policemen. The leader was a tall, square-faced policeman who reeked of alcohol. He asked majestically, what's going on? Who's the one who's causing trouble? Lu Yiting was about to speak. Wei San was held up by his 2 companions. He came to the front of the policeman and complained with a face full of grief and indignation. Chief Xiao, I came here with a few friends for a beauty treatment. Their service was terrible. We said a few words, but they didn't like it. They even beat us up. Chief Xiao, look at how ruthless they were. My legs are broken. Zhao Hai observed the scene and thought that Wei San's acting was very professional and ruthless. In order to make the scene look beautiful, he deliberately broke his leg. It would be a waste of his excellent acting talent if he didn't go to the Beijing film studio to be an extra. Although he despised him in his heart, when there was no one around, he still had to respectfully call Wei San third brother. Zhao Hai cast a sidelong glance at Jiang Tian and proudly said, handcuff this kid and detain him. Why are you handcuffing me? Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Did you hit this guy? Zhao pointed at the man who was kicked out of the street by Wei Sanhe. It wasn't me. From the beginning to the end, I didn't touch them at all. Jiang Tian said calmly. Didn't you hit Wei San? There are surveillance cameras everywhere. Do you still want to deny it? Zhao Hai suddenly raised his voice, roaring like a thunderclap. He was like an angry Vajra, awe-inspiring and insufferably arrogant. Yiting, show him the video. Jiang Tian smiled faintly. Lu Yiting hesitated for a moment but still went. Oh my god, does this kid know magic? The police officers were dumbfounded when they saw the surveillance footage. From the beginning to the end, Jiang Tian didn't touch either of them. It seemed that when Jiang Tian waved his sleeves, one of the tall, brawny men flew out and the other had his leg broken. But from a direct point of view, there was no physical contact between the two. As for the other gangsters, they were slapped by Jiang Tian, but there was no reason to arrest Jiang Tian. Someone else made the first move. Zhao Hai frowned and pondered. He had always been brothers with Wei San. When a brother was in trouble, he couldn't just ignore it. Besides, Wei San had young Master Lu behind him, an existence he couldn't afford to offend. He thought for a moment, then said solemnly, whether you hit him or not, it's still a matter of time. But you have to go back to the station to assist in the investigation. Citizens have the obligation to assist in the investigation, but I have to choose the time and place. Sorry, I'm very busy right now. Wait until I have time. Jiang Tian lazily looked at Zhao Hai. When Zhao Hai heard this, he flew into a rage. The Mao Tai he drank earlier in the evening rushed to his head. He pointed his fat finger at Jiang Tian's nose and shouted, Kid, you dare to be so savage in front of me? Believe it or not, I'll peel off a layer of skin. I have 100 ways to make you wish you were dead. At this time, Jiang Tian's phone rang. He picked it up and said with a faint smile, Old Zhang wants to talk to you. I'm Zhao Hai. Where are you? Zhao Hai was a bit puzzled, but he still took the phone and shouted loudly. I'm Zhang Zhonghua. I want to talk to your leader. Zhang Zhonggua's calm, powerful, and angry voice came from the phone. Damn, Jiang Tian is our Zhang family's savior. These bastards actually dared to bully Jiang Tian. How can I, as his uncle, not do anything? Zhao Hai was furious. If you're Zhang Zhonghua, then I'm Zhang Zhonggua's father. Don't try to pretend. Be careful or I'll find your number and go to your house. After that, he threw the phone aside and ordered his men to arrest Zhao Hai. Jiang Tian didn't get angry. He stretched out his hands and put on handcuffs with a smile. He looked at Chief Zhao with pity. Something's wrong. Zhao Hai secretly thought. But after thinking about it carefully, he was the most powerful person in the district besides the district's secretary. Could there be something wrong? Next to him, Jean Gage was shocked. Lu Yiting was also very confused. How could the Zhang family's relationship be so bad? The two women were in a hurry and called their connections. But as soon as the other side heard that this matter was related to Wei San, they all said that there was no way. Jean Gage was also scolded by her mother. Peng Zhenxin and Wang Jia looked at each other and shook their heads. Then they looked at Jiang Tian with contempt. This bastard, he's really good at pretending to have a relationship with Zhang Zhonghua. But at this time, Zhao Hai's phone rang. He looked at the number and cold sweat came down. It was the city bureau chief's office. Zhao Hai answered. Hello, I'm Zhao Hai. May I ask who this is? Zhao Hai, how many pounds of fake alcohol did you drink last night? You dare to argue with the city's leaders. I think you're tired of this police uniform. If you want to be unlucky, don't drag me down. Secretary Zhang said that he'll come to your branch to inspect your work. You wait, if I get scolded, I'll definitely not forgive you. A thunderous scolding came from the other end of the phone. The voice belonged to old Zhou of the city police bureau. Zhao was scolded until his face turned red and white. He used a handkerchief to wipe the cold sweat off his forehead. His drunkenness was completely exposed. Putting away his phone, Zhao Hai slapped the members of the defense team a few times and angrily shouted, "Stop messing around. Who told you to handcuff people? Hurry up and release them." Several temporary workers were very puzzled. They didn't know what Zhao Hai was doing, but they still went forward to help Jiang Tian uncuff. Zhao Hai quickly put on a smile and gave Jiang Tian a cigarette. He grabbed Jiang Tian's hand and shook it. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were Secretary Zhang's friend. Ha! Jiang Tian wouldn't lower himself to the same level as this small fish. It's my fault. I didn't make it clear to you. Zhao Hai patted his thigh and said, "Brother, you're too polite. Let's go. I'll be the host. I'll treat you later." But the matter of beautiful as heaven. Jiang Tian smiled and put the cigarette in his mouth. Zhao Hai quickly lit Jiang Tian's cigarette and smiled. It's just a small dispute. No one got hurt. Let's just forget about it. On one side was Zhang Zhonghua, on the other was the Lu family's young master Lu Liwei. He couldn't defend either side, so he could only smooth things over. The two of them chatted for a while. The atmosphere was quite harmonious. Zhao Hai said that Beautiful as Heaven was a high-tech company supported by the district. He would pay more attention to it in the future. Then he said goodbye. Zhao Hai, how come no one got hurt? Wei San wanted to stop him. But Zhao Hai glared and shouted angrily. You're hurt, but you fell down yourself. How can you blame others? Don't make trouble. Hurry to the hospital. If you're late, you won't be able to get through. He hurriedly left with the police. The group of people were dumbfounded. They looked at Jiang Tian in a completely different way. Who was Jiang Tian's phone call? Why was Zhao Hai so scared? Peng Zhenxin and Wang Jia both sucked in a breath of cold air. They looked at Jiang Tian with shock and fear in their eyes. The two of them were very familiar with the procedures of power operations. They knew how important this call was. Wei San was at his wit's end. He knew that he had met a ruthless person today. He hesitated whether or not he should hurry to the hospital. If he didn't go now, he would probably die from excessive blood loss. Fortunately, the ambulance came. Wei San simply bandaged his wound and stopped the bleeding. He ignored the doctor's strict advice and returned to beautiful as heaven. Young Master Lu was coming. How could he not be there? He would be punished by Lu Liwei. Fortunately, they didn't have to wait too long before a little brother ran over. Third Master, young Master Lu is here. The Demon King really came. Peng Zhenxin and Wang Jie's hearts thumped. Their faces were as pale as paper. The police are useless. What can he do? It seemed that Jiang Tian's presence greatly increased Jean Gige's confidence. She was not afraid and snorted coldly. Wang Jia curled his lips and said, "Ha, back in the day at Drunk Eye Bar, there was a son of the West District mayor who accidentally bumped into him. He directly broke both of his legs. How capable do you think he is?" Peng Zhenxin adjusted his glasses and said with a serious face, "Gige, you don't know this. The Lu family is the most powerful political and business family in Yanjin. Back in the day, he and Han Junkai were racing on the second ring road. For some reason, they got angry. He pointed a gun at Han Juansai's head and forced him to kneel. In the end, the Han family left the matter unsettled. He then shook his head and said, no matter how capable your classmate is, how can he be his opponent? While they were talking, a skinny young man with slick back hair, a mink cloak, and custom-made leather shoes inlaid with diamonds walked in arrogantly and domineeringly. Young Master Lu, look at how badly I've been beaten up. You have to avenge me. Wei San was like a loyal dog that had seen its master. He limped forward and complained pitifully while being carried by two of his men. Slap. Lu Liwei raised his hand and slapped Wei San until he fell to the ground. He scolded, useless. You can't even handle a woman. Fuck, why don't you buy a piece of tofu and kill yourself? Chapter 545. Who hit him? Lu Liwei's pair of sinister and ruthless triangular eyes looked around as he yawned listlessly. Him. Someone pointed at Jiang Tian. Fuck. Who was it? Isn't it Jiang Tian? Lu Liwei's gaze fell on Jiang Tian. He was taken aback for a second and then burst into laughter. Jiang Tian, why are you in Yanjin? You're still so arrogant, daring to hit my people. Did someone squash your head? Young Master Lu, do you know this kid? He doesn't look familiar. Wei San asked with a frown. He's awesome. He's the young master of the Medicine King group. He was engaged to Song Shuangyan. Lu Liwei sneered and said, no wonder Zhao Hai didn't dare to mess with him. His uncle is Zhang Zhonggua. I can't believe this kid has such a trump card. He was engaged to Song Shuangyan, one of the four beauties of Yanjin. Peng Zhenxin and Wang Jie's faces changed drastically. They stared at Jiang Tian in disbelief as if they had seen a ghost. The Medicine King Group's market value was over 100 billion and its CEO, Zhang Wanqing, was worth 30 billion. She was ranked 10th on the Forbes list. Zhang Zhonggua was the third most powerful person in Yanjin. Jiang Tian's background was not something they could compare with. Zhang Zhonggua's nephew. Young Master Lu, why don't we just forget about this? Wei San's heart skipped a beat as he spoke hesitantly. TSK, you overestimate him. Lu Liwei sat on a chair that his subordinate had pulled over. He crossed his legs and laughed mockingly. He said with a sneer, when I accompanied young Master Song to break off the engagement, he still dared to argue with me. In the end, his grandfather called him to Yanjin and punished him to kneel down and apologize to me. I asked him to bark like a dog and he did a good job. He shook his shiny leather shoes, picked up a soft Chunghwa cigarette, and said with a face full of disdain, ever since he messed with the Song family and the Lu family, his grandfather, Zhang Jinghua, and the Jiang family cut ties with him. Zhang Zhonghua probably doesn't know that I'm your backer. I see. So what if he does? Young Master Lu, step on him and let him continue barking like a dog. Wei San immediately revealed a look of disdain and passionately instigated. A big family like the Zhang clan had many branches and leaves, and had many descendants all over Huaxia. The direct line of descent and the collateral line were completely different. If it was a direct descendant like Zhang Danfeng who came out, Wei San would definitely have to give way, not daring to offend them. However, even if Zhang Danfeng stepped out, it was still not enough to intimidate Lu Liwei. After all, the Lu family was the #1 political and business family in Yanjin, while the Zhang family was only ranked in the top 20. However, if it was a distant descendant of the Zhang clan who had offended the Lu clan and the Song clan and had their relations severed, then they would be like a phoenix without feathers, not even worth mentioning in front of Lu Liwei. Seeing Lu Liwei's arrogant appearance, a trace of killing intent flashed in the depths of Jiang Tian's eyes. He smiled and said, "Have you said enough?" Lu Liwei was the young master who accompanied Song Shuangyan to the Jiang family to break off the engagement. He had humiliated Jiang Tian and Jiang Changgang. Jiang Tian couldn't bear it and fought with him, but he had to endure endless humiliation and torture. "All right, I'll talk to you." Lu Liwei looked at Jiang Tian coldly and said, "Jiang Tian, you better not interfere in this matter." "So what if I interfere?" Jiang Tian raised his hand and slapped Lu Liwei's face, causing the latter to feel dizzy and shake his head for a long time. Lu Liwei had never imagined that Jiang Tian would actually dare to hit him. His eyes were filled with anger as he roared, "Brat, how dare you hit me? So what if I hit you? You dog, so what if I kill you?" Jiang Tian said calmly, "However, I won't kill you. However, I won't kill you. I'll play with you properly. Your following days will be very miserable, very sad." Lu Liwei was about to explode when a bodyguard took out his mobile phone and said, "Young Master Lu, a call." "I'm not answering it. Can't you see that I'm going to teach someone a lesson?" Lu Liwei pushed the phone away and said irritably. "It's Li Yanmei." The bodyguard said. Hearing this, Lu Liwei was slightly moved. He quickly took the phone and pressed the answer button. His face was full of flattery and fawning. He said with a flattering tone, "Sister May, don't worry. I'm helping you. Don't worry. I'll definitely help you get beautiful as heaven." Get beautiful as heaven? There's a fire in the backyard. Heavenly Earth, Imperial Palace, Great Joy, and several other places have been raided by the Yanjin police. Li Yanmei's exasperated voice came out. "What? Who the fuck dares to raid my places?" Lu Liwei couldn't believe it and was furious. These places were well known in Yanjin and were the places where successful men squandered their money. The girls who accompanied him were almost all campus belles from major universities such as Beijing Film Academy, Beijing Foreign Art Academy and China Drama Academy. These places were also his core industries. The monthly income was hundreds of millions or even billions. The net profit every month was hundreds of millions. But because they were afraid of the Lu family behind him, the police had never dared to touch these places that had stood for 10 years without collapsing. Therefore, these places were also the safest and most high-end entertainment places in Yanjin. Almost all of them were members only. I've asked around. It was Zhang Zhonggua's order. Zhang Zhonggua held a meeting an hour ago and mobilized his men and the police from Beha province. That's why we didn't get the news at all. It's a mess now. Li Yanmei said angrily. Lu Liwei hung up the phone and glared at Jiang Tian. "Jiang Tian, you've grown up. You can mobilize your uncle now. How dare you mess with my place? Are you going to start a war with the Lu family? Do you want to fight to the death? You think you're qualified to represent the Lu family? In Huaxia, which power is worth me fighting to the death?" Jiang Tian smirked. "In my eyes, you're just an ant that I can crush." Jiang Tian, stop it now. I'll let you go, or else. Lu Liwei's face turned red as he gritted his teeth. Or else what? Jiang Tian said lightly. Or else I'll kill you. Lu Liwei grinned. You know who I am, and you know that I have the guts and ability to do so. What he got in return was a slap on his face. Slap. Jiang Tian slapped Lu Liwei to the ground. This time, Jiang Tian hit him even harder. Lu Liwei's face was swollen and 2 of his teeth flew out. What are you waiting for? Kill him. Lu Liwei was fuming. His eyes were filled with malice as he scolded coldly. Suddenly, 7 or 8 bodyguards pulled out their guns and pointed them at Jiang Tian. The girls around them screamed. They really do have guns. Peng Zhenxin was also shocked. Young Master Lu, please don't do that. It'll be hard to clean up after someone dies. Wang Jie stomped his foot and sighed. Jiang Tian, you have a great background and can definitely be considered a character. But it depends on who you're talking to. So what if you're Zhang Zhongguo's nephew? Don't you know how powerful Lu Liwei is? The situation took a turn for the worse, and Lu Liwei thought he had the upper hand. He crawled up, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and sneered arrogantly, Jiang Tian, kneel down and bark like a dog, and I'll spare your lowly life. Just when everyone thought that Jiang Tian was at his wit's end and was about to lower his head, suddenly, a few rugged and domineering domestic explosion-proof vehicles barged in and stopped in front of the gate. Holy shit! That's Unit 6188. The Navy's Internal Defense Unit. Oh my god, who is Jiang Tian? His trump card is too powerful. Peng Zhenxin and Wang Jie were dumbfounded by the sight. Their faces turned pale. Unit 6188, the internal defense unit of the Red Wall, formerly known as Unit 8341, was a legendary unit. If 1 division and 3 divisions of the Yanjing garrison were considered the Imperial Guards, then the 8341 unit could be called the Imperial Guards. For those who knew about the unit, the internal defense unit of the Red Wall was no match for the War Dragon unit. It was even weaker than the nuclear Unit 8342 that had been hiding in the Gobi Desert for decades. However, the internal defense unit of the Red Wall was still the most powerful unit in Yanjing. Suddenly, countless people's faces changed color. The heavy car doors opened and slammed shut. The muffled thuds were shocking. Burly figures armed to the teeth with loaded guns suddenly appeared and rushed into the heavenly beauty. Put down your guns and kneel down with your hands behind your head. Kill anyone who dares to resist. A dozen internal defense unit soldiers immediately positioned themselves at the most important positions. All of them held a submachine gun in their hands and aimed at the bodyguards. They wore bulletproof helmets, face masks, air headsets, anti-stun night vision goggles, and other equipment. They also had pistols, grenades, flashbangs, and other weapons hanging from their waists. They were well equipped. Compared to them, Lu Liwei's bodyguards were like a bunch of kids playing with toy guns. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. Good citizen. I'm a good citizen. Wei San's face turned pale. His body trembled uncontrollably as he knelt on the ground. Just like Pan Changjiang in the movie Hands Up, he raised his hands high. The bodyguards didn't even hesitate for a second. They put down their guns on the ground and squatted down with their hands behind their heads. A well-built and mighty figure walked into the beautiful scene with majestic gait. 2 cold lightning-like eyes swept across, making Lu Liwei feel a chill at the back of his head. Lu Liwei's face turned pale and he couldn't help but exclaim, "Uncle Yuan. My bodyguards are all from a legitimate security company. They all have a gun license." Chapter 546. Who's your uncle? Stop trying to get close to me. Yuan Lei walked in front of Lu Liwei. Like a lion looking down at a weak little rabbit, he let out a thunderous roar. Even if you have a gun license, you can't hurt civilians. This is an important place in the capital, a city of kindness. I will not allow any illegal violence to occur here. Everyone has to follow the rules. You, Lu Liwei, don't have any special privileges. I'll report this to the chief. I'd like to see if the patriarch of the Lu family can give me a reasonable explanation. Numerous voices exploded out like thunderclaps, and it shook everyone to the point they felt dizzy and couldn't even stand steadily. No matter what the result is, I'm telling you, Lu Liwei, that I, Yuan Lei, have my eyes on you. If you continue to run amok like this, next time, I will not show any mercy and directly kill you. Yes, Uncle Yuan. I know I'm wrong. I won't do it again. It's all a misunderstanding. Lu Liwei's head buzzed and his face turned pale as he trembled in fear. This top thug in Yanjin immediately turned into an obedient child being scolded by his parents and teachers. He smiled, bowed, and nodded like a chick pecking at rice. If it was someone else, even Zhang Zhonggua, he wouldn't be afraid. He might even be able to deal with it. But facing Yuan Lei, the leader of the Red Wall internal guards, he felt like he had met his nemesis. He was terrified and didn't dare to act rashly. One had to know that the Red Wall internal guards were the Imperial Secret Service. Although they weren't as strong as Zhan Long, they were still an existence that these rich kids couldn't afford to offend. The reason was simple. They were close to the Emperor and had an important position. They could talk to the chief directly. If their misdeeds were exposed, even the Patriarch wouldn't be able to protect them. Take them away. Yuan Lei nodded his head at Jiang Tian, then waved his hand. Yes. Many internal guards immediately handcuffed Lu Liwei and a few bodyguards. Moreover, they were handcuffed to the back and were escorted out of the door. Lu Liwei. Hearing Jiang Tian calling him, Lu Liwei's figure paused. He didn't turn around, but his face was filled with resentment. At this moment, Jiang Tian laughed contemptuously. Remember, you don't have the qualifications to be my opponent. You're the one who asked for it. Please help me pass a message to Song Shuangyan. If she took something from the Jiang family, I will go and get it. Alright, I'll definitely bring it to you. Lu Liwei was so angry that smoke was coming out of his 7 orifices. He gritted his teeth so hard that they almost broke. Jiang Tian, this brat is really sinister. This time, I admit defeat, but this matter is not over. When Lu Liwei came, he was aggressive and insufferably arrogant. When he left, his face was bruised and his face was covered with a hood. His hands were handcuffed behind his back. It could be said that he was covered in dirt and was in a sorry state. Half a minute after everyone had left. Everyone stared at Jiang Tian with their mouths agape, unable to come back to their senses for a long time. Jiang Tian, you're really something. You even managed to get the embroidered uniform guards involved. In the end, it was Jean Gage who broke the silence. However, she could clearly feel that her laughter was a bit unnatural. Jiang Tian, who the hell are you? Wang Jia lit a cigarette for Jiang Tian with a humble and flattering smile. Although Lu Liwei is not a core member of the Lu family, he is still a member of the Lu family. Peng Zhenxin also looked at Jiang Tian in a new light. He only felt that his act of showing off was a joke. Lu Yiting also looked at Jiang Tian in confusion. She felt that this old classmate of hers was unbelievable. Even if Jiang Tian was Zhang Zhonggua's nephew, he still couldn't mobilize the Red Wall guards. Even Zhang Zhonggua himself couldn't mobilize them. I am indeed related to the Zhang family, but we are not very close. As for the Red Wall guards. Jiang Tian shrugged his shoulders and said indifferently, they didn't say a word to me from the beginning to the end. They probably came out for supper and accidentally bumped into me. I see. Some of the students were enlightened, while others were skeptical. However, the way they looked at Jiang Tian was completely different. In any case, the fact that Jiang Tian was a relative of the Zhang family and the crown prince of the Medicine King group was enough for them to look up to him. I thought he was just a good-for-nothing, I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Many of the students looked at Jiang Tian with burning eyes. Damn, I can't miss this opportunity. I have to build a relationship with Jiang Tian. Wang Jie thought to himself. When they arrived at the dining hall, everyone's attitude toward Jiang Tian was completely different. They kept urging him to drink. Even if Jiang Tian only took a small sip each time, everyone would still drink it in one gulp. Furthermore, those who were able to drink a cup with Jiang Tian also felt extremely honored. Boss, this is a toast to you. I was wrong before. Wang Jie didn't wait for Jiang Tian's response and finished the drink. University dormitories were arranged according to age and called each other brothers. Jiang Tian was the oldest. Everyone else called Jiang Tian boss, but Wang Jie had never called him that. Today was the first time. He used to be a snob and mocked Jiang Tian several times. Today, he learned that there was always someone better than him. It was not wrong to be humble at all times. It's okay. We are all roommates. Jiang Tian smiled faintly and took a sip. When the water is too clear, there will be no fish. No one was perfect. Although Wang Jie was greedy, vain, and lecherous, this was formed by the influence of his family environment. He was not an evil person by nature. In fact, when Lu Liwei's bodyguard pointed a gun at him, he was anxious and tried to persuade him. Jiang Tian, you are Ms. Zhang Wanqing's only son, right? Jean Gige asked. Everyone stopped drinking and turned to look at Jiang Tian. Yes. My father worked for the government. The family planning policy was very strict. Jiang Tian nodded. That's awesome. The Crown Prince. Tens of billions of assets will be yours in the future. Wang Jie said enviously. That's right, that's right. There's no need to fight to the death. You don't know, but the descendants of several big families in Beijing are fighting for the right of inheritance. Some of them even killed people. Jean Gige laughed. Chen Longsheng's hand that was holding the glass trembled slightly as a glint of sadness appeared in his eyes. Because of the incident with Beautiful Sky, everyone arrived a little late. Although they only drank for 2 hours, they only left after 11 at night. Everyone came to the hotel lobby and took a taxi home. However, Chen Longsheng yawned and said that he needed to go to the washroom. He then went back upstairs and asked everyone to leave first. Lu Yiting's beautiful eyes rippled as she looked at Jiang Tian and said, Jiang Tian, you drank wine, let me send you off. Jiang Tian held the cigarette in his mouth and kept silent for a while. Then he suddenly said, Yiting, come with me. Jiang Tian rushed upstairs in big strides. Lu Yiting and the rest followed behind, only to see Jiang Tian enter the washroom on the second floor and kick open a cubicle. Chen Longsheng walked out awkwardly and said with a smile, Jiang Tian, why did you come back again? I have something to tell you. I'm a little short on money recently. Can you lend me some money? 3 to 5,000 is fine. Slap. Chen Longsheng's smiling face was met with a crisp slap. Even though Jiang Tian had purposely suppressed his cultivation, Chen Longsheng was still unable to withstand this attack. He fell to the ground with blood spurting out from his nose and mouth. He covered his face and looked at Jiang Tian in shock. He didn't seem to understand why Jiang Tian hit him. Chen Longsheng didn't dare to look at Jiang Tian. He shook his head and pretended that he didn't know why Jiang Tian hit him. Is it easy? Jiang Tian tore open his pocket. The syringe, tin foil, lighter, and powder all fell to the ground. Chen Longsheng was stunned. When he wasn't addicted to drugs, he still felt a little ashamed. He lowered his head in shame and tears filled his eyes. Useless. Jiang Tian pointed at his nose and scolded. He then raised his hand and pointed at Jean Gige and the rest at the door. According to my observation, other than Lu Yiting, everyone knows that you've already taken drugs. They sympathize with you on the surface, but they're actually gloating. They're laughing at you. You're still shamelessly borrowing money. Even if they lend you money, they'll treat you like a beggar in the subway. They're giving you alms from above. Jiang Tian's words were powerful and powerful. Jean Gage and the rest who had rushed to the door looked a little unnatural. Chen Longxing lay on the ground and gradually turned from whimpers to sobs, and finally to wails. Jiang Tian, I don't have the face to see you. Chen Longxing was full of shame and regret. He wailed. Back then, after your marriage was annulled, I recklessly went to Lu Liwei and fought with him. But I didn't get any advantage. I was even grounded by my family, deprived of my inheritance, and sent to London. When I was in London, I was set up by Lu Liwei's friends and a few of my brothers. I became addicted to drugs. I've been taking drugs for 3 years. I didn't get a diploma, and I don't have a job. I'm lying. I'm pretending. Jiang Tian, I'm completely useless. I'm better off dead. I'll only disgust others if I live. There's only hope if you're alive. Jiang Tian was moved when he heard this. He sighed and patted the shoulder of Chen Longxing, who was crying bitterly, and said, Go home and prepare. I'll contact Zhang Zhonghua and send you to the best drug rehabilitation center. You can only leave that thing after you change your environment. Jiang Tian, I. Chen Longxing hesitated. After asking, Jiang Tian found out that the Qin family was actually a second or third-tier secular family in Yanjin. They were a branch of the Qin family. That was easy to deal with. Jiang Tian made a phone call and gave the order. Chen Zifan immediately acted decisively. In just an hour, he took back Chen Longxing's inheritance rights and became the family head. That was the advantage of having power. Chen Longxing's family had been fighting for the inheritance for a long time. But Jiang Tian only needed to say a few words. At the same time, Zhang Zhonghua drove the car and picked up Chen Longxing with the person in charge of the drug rehabilitation center. Jiang Tian, thank you. Before getting into the car, Chen Longxing hugged Jiang Tian and cried. No matter what, you're my best buddy in university. I'll help you get back what you lost because of me. Jiang Tian helped Chen Longxing get into the car. His casual words tugged at everyone's heartstrings. Jiang Tian was a good buddy. The person who forced you to drink at the table might not be your buddy. The person who told you how others scolded you behind your back might not be your friend. The person who helped you when you were in danger and woke you up when you did something wrong was a real buddy. Chapter 547. At the same time, in a brightly lit building built against the mountain beside Kunming Lake, a tall and majestic old man with an extraordinary bearing was playing chess with a dignified young man on a Toreya-wood chessboard. The black and white Yongchang chess pieces looked as gentle as jade. They were locked in battle on the chessboard. In the end, the young man with the white chess piece won and gradually surrounded the black chess pieces. The old man put a few black chess pieces in his hand into the chess box and laughed heartily. Li Xuan, your chess skills have improved, and your layout is farsighted. I'm old, and I can't do it anymore. His eyes were filled with admiration and gratification, but there was also a hint of fear that was difficult to detect. Grandpa Yi, you've given in to me. I'm too sharp, and you're the one who has endless tricks up your sleeve. The handsome young man smiled humbly. On the plaque hanging on the lintel of the pavilion, there were a few gilded words, Songtao Pavilion. The surroundings were filled with pine trees and covered in snow. Songtao Pavilion was located in a large manor. There were pavilions, 9 winding corridors, rockeries, and strange rocks. Lotus ponds and fish ponds complemented each other. It was surrounded by mountains and rivers, and had an antique atmosphere. Under the bright lights, it looked like a fairyland on earth. This Songtao Villa, known as the Pearl of Yanjing, was remodeled from the courtyard of an Iron Hat king in the Qing dynasty. Standing at the highest point of Songtao Pavilion, one could directly overlook half of Kunming Lake. The location was blessed by nature. This was a private club belonging to the Song family. It was usually used to entertain the top tycoons, high-ranking officials, and cultural celebrities. Beside him, there was a woman with an extraordinary temperament in a Cheongsam brewing tea on a tea tray. The woman was about 40 years old, but the merciless carving knife of time did not leave a single mark on her body. Her skin was still as smooth as jade. On the contrary, her temperament was even more graceful. On her wrist was a set of 9-eyed heavenly jewels worth at least 10 million yuan. Her movements of brewing tea were as smooth as flowing water. If a tea ceremony master was here, he would definitely praise her and be amazed. "Master, young Master Lu, have a cup of tea." The woman stretched out her snow-white wrist and handed over an exquisite porcelain teacup made in Jingdezhen. Lu Lixuan took it with both hands and took a sip. His eyes lit up and he smiled. "Good tea. Authentic Priming Longjing tea. This water should be the tiger running spring. I heard that when Grandpa Yi came to Beijing this time, he took a private plane for himself and used the other plane to carry spring water. He really knows how to enjoy life. How can I enjoy myself as much as you young people?" The old man laughed and said, "Young Su, the richest man in southern Min province. I've helped him once. He has a few acres of tea plantation in Lion Peak's Plum Dock. Every year, he would send some over. It can be considered a more authentic Longjing tea. Lixuan, if you're interested in gathering your friends to pick tea, we can make it in time for pre-Qingming tea. If you're too busy, you can wait for Guyu. Qingming and Guyu are both good seasons. Grandpa Ye's tea is good, the water is good, but Aunt Kai's tea ceremony is even better." Lu Lixuan glanced at the tea girl and said. The woman with the surname Kai smiled and said, "Lixuan, if you want to drink tea, go to Jiangxia more often. There's a lot of good tea and water there." The old man sipped his tea and casually commented, "Little Kai's personality is too unyielding and impulsive. In martial arts, she's on par with Hua Qingtian, Lin Zhenyu, and Wu Yingxiong. However, she's still a little lacking. That's why I didn't dare to let her expand all these years and only let her stay in Jiangxia and Zhonghai. If there were martial artists present, they would have cursed out loud. How could a weak woman be on par with the likes of Hua Qingtian, Lin Zhenyu, and Wu Yingxiong? It was like a joke." However, Lu Lixuan had a higher opinion of Kai Zhijing. He smiled and said, "Aunt Kai became a transcendent master in her 30s and became the underground queen of Jiangxia. She's a hidden dragon in the abyss. If it weren't for old Master Yi, she would have dominated Huaxia long ago." Kai Zhijing smiled faintly and said, "You flatter me, young Master Lu. I'm quite satisfied. Drinking tea and listening to songs in Jiangxia is not a bad thing." Lu Lixuan suddenly rose to his feet and walked to the window. He looked down at the frozen Kunming Lake and said with a smile, "Grandpa Yi, did the Yi Zhantian family have anything to say about your visit to Yanjin?" The old man's eyelids twitched. He forced a smile and said, "Yi Tianren asked us to seal off the mountain for 50 years. It's already over. Besides, I'm just a rich man now. I've never been involved in any martial arts competition. Besides, young Master Lu has invited me. What can Yi Zhantian do? If you ask me, Yi Zhantian must be afraid of your power. You are already an immortal state warrior. Yi Zhantian is only half a step away from immortal state." Lu Lixuan smiled and said, "Back then, Yi Zhantian ranked you as the 5th grandmaster in Huaxia on the divine roll. He even put Hua Qingtian ahead of you. In fact, he was just a junior. What right did he have to judge you?" Many people don't know that the Hong sect, the Qing gang, the Blue Cloth Society and the 9-story pagoda were the 4 major gangs in Huaxia. At that time, the Qing gang was so prosperous and glorious that even Du Yuesheng and Wang Chongyan had to call you young dragon head. Even Jiang Jianfeng had to bow to you and call you granduncle. However, on the eve of the Battle of the River Crossing, Yi Tianren crossed the river with a single leaf, defeated the Green Gang, expelled the Blue Cloth Society, and destroyed the 9-story pagoda. He killed so many people and killed so many heroes. Wang Chongyan crossed the ocean and went to Singapore. The 9-story pagoda could only hole up in Bao Island. The Yi family could only swear to seal their mountain for 50 years and not set foot north of the Yellow River. For decades, you've been under others. Don't tell me you don't want to regain your glory. The old man's smile froze on his face. After a long silence, he shook his head and sighed. Li Xuan, that's impossible. It's a new era and a new society. Let's not talk about those things anymore. People will laugh at us if they know about it. He seemed to be talking to himself. I didn't like drinking tea before, but after I tried it, I fell in love with it. Li Xuan, look at this tea set. The teapot, the cups, the plates, the pans, the chopsticks, and the crockery, not to mention the tedious process of brewing the tea. It's one step after another, and I have to take care of it carefully. It's just like fishing doesn't necessarily like eating fish, it's just that you enjoy the process. The old man was the lord of the Yi family, the fifth on the divine roll and a martial arts tycoon who had dominated the Yangtze River Delta region for decades. I value results more than anything else. Lu Lixuan turned around and looked at Yi Wudao with a smile. His temperament has been honed, and his sharpness has also been worn away. What if I tell Elder Yi that this time, Zhang Qianlei is also prepared to come out and help us? Zhang Qianlei. The Heavenly Master sect of Dragon Tiger Mountain, the most powerful Dharma spell master in the world. Leaf Dao Denier's eyes flickered with light that seemed almost corporeal. Zhang Qianlei and Yi Tianren used to be as famous as Yi Tianren in the north and Zhang Qianlei in the south. Yi Tianren was the best in martial arts, and Zhang Qianlei was the best in spells. However, the country paid more attention to science and got rid of the four olds. Zhang Qianlei didn't want to offend Guo, so he closed his door. I heard that he had been living in Yanjin in recent years. It turns out that he's living in your family. The Lu family and the Song family took turns to worship him. Lu Lixuan smiled and said, if it weren't for the Lu family and the Song family, the Heavenly Master sect of Dragon Tiger Mountain would have been destroyed. That's why Celestial Master Zhang is so loyal to our Lu family and listens to everything we say. Now, Yi Tianren is living in seclusion and no one knows if he's dead or alive. The Bai family is gone and the 6 martial arts families in Yanjin don't even have an immortal state warrior. They are nothing to worry about. Zhang Qianlei is already at the peak stage of his Dao body and has even seen the truth of a half-step mortal deity. With Mr. Ye's help and the help of the Lu family and the Song family, we can fight against the Huaxiaolong formation. Then, we can dominate Yanjin and overlook Huaxia. Yi Zhantian is nothing to us. With you around, help me govern the Jiangxia area. We'll attack from both sides and take down Huaqingtian of the Central Plains. Then, we'll be able to negotiate with the hidden sections. They can't do without the support of the secular world. Have you forgotten that Kang Teichu is in Yanjin right now? Yi Wudao said. As soon as he said this, Kai Zhijing, the underground queen of Jiangxia, suddenly shook her hand and the atmosphere in the tea room became solemn. Kang Teichu is either too lazy or too arrogant. He doesn't care about the mortal world. Lu Lixuan sneered. The Xia family, the Gu family and the Han family wanted to recruit Kang Teichu and hold the adjudicator ceremony to suppress the Lu family and the Song family. However, he refused and the matter was left unsettled. He doesn't know how to control his subordinates or how to help the people. In my opinion, he is just a boorish martial artist who can't be helped. And his carelessness is the best time for us to rise. Now is not the time to lose, old Master Yi. Leaf Dao Denier pondered for a moment, then suddenly stood up and spoke in a clear voice. Since Master Lei is willing to help Master Lu, and the Yi family and Xiao Kai are under the protection of the Lu family and the Song family, I have no reason to refuse. I will attend the banquet tomorrow. Good. I will be waiting for you, old Master Yi. Lu Lixuan bowed deeply to show his gratitude. Leaf Dao Denier said his goodbyes and left in a very low-key black Audi. Master, are we really going to help Lu Lixuan? He wants us to give up the Huaxiaolong formation. Kai Zhijing asked after they were a kilometer away from the villa. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.